the Real Smoke Podcast with your hosts, Mick and Charles, the podcast that's all about real people, real cigars, and real smoke. Coming to you live from the Real Smoke Virtual Cigar Lounge, bringing you the best of cigars, whiskey, and all the good times in between. This is more than just a podcast, it's a community of cigar lovers. So grab your favorite smoke, pour a drink, and join us as we dive into all things cigars, whiskey, and just having a damn good time. This is the Real Smoke Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 22 of the Real Smoke Podcast. We are your hosts. That guy over that way, that's Mick. Say hi, Mick.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
And this guy right here is Charles. Say hi, Charles. Oh, hi.
Hi.
We want to welcome everybody to episode 22, the second episode of the Female Domination Month. And we have an awesome guest with us tonight, and we'll get into that in just a second. But first, as always, we have to thank the people who help make this shit happen. Mick, you want to go say thank you to these people?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you to the Cigar Vault in Oakdale. 105 Seminary Ave, Oakdale, Pennsylvania. If you're in the Pittsburgh area, definitely stop by and check them out. And if you ever second guess how good of a selection they have, check out our podcast where we had them on. They show us around their humidor and give us the grand tour. Or you can check out their amazing selection online at www.cigarvault.com. Use the code RealSmoke for 10% off. I'm getting better at this.
Yes, you are. That was smooth. You're getting better. You must have been drinking way too much today already. Calm down. Show's early. Uh-oh. Oh, you got that watered down stuff, huh?
I do. Yeah. And I gotta say, I don't hate this as much as I thought I would. Maybe my palate's changing a little bit. I don't hate it, so it might be time to go down another rabbit hole. We'll get into that another time.
I was about to say, I can take you down all kinds of rabbit holes when it comes to bourbon and whiskey. So, I mean, if you guys see me scratching my eyes, we just had our first flowers and trees start blooming and opening up. And I have realized that I'm allergic to something that's in the air, and I'm about to croak. So I've been sneezing, and my eyes have been swollen for about 3 days. So I look like I've been facing 10 rounds with Rocky Balboa. So it's pretty awesome. So let's see. A couple things today. Let's see. We got people already on here. Little Debbie says, "What's up, fellas?" Well, Aldi's on there. He says he's waiting. Colby says, "Good evening." We have a lot on here. There you go. Big Mike says, "My brother's in Cynn." Yep, she'll be on here shortly. Fernando's on here. He says, "What's up, fellas?" And living the bearded chubby life says, "R.I.P. Charles." Yeah, I'm dying over here. It's rough. Quick note. Last week we were talking about trying to get our Instagram page up to around 700 or so. You know, since we died a couple of weeks ago, trying to get back up to 5K's kind of rough, but somehow within about 2 days, we went from 700 to 1,500.
Yeah.
So we're back up to 1,520.
I was actually watching it happen. It was right after we started posting about the women domination for the month. The post on that was Cynn, Dissident, like everybody started collabing with those posts, and my phone would not shut up. So I guess they like them. I'm not sure it has anything to do with us, but it's cool. I will take it. And, we're on our way back.
Something we could ever think about being. So I give all the credit to them. I mean, if you 100%. Looked up at the lineup of the women that we've got on last week versus the rest of the time, we picked some great guests. So it's all them. It's not us. I mean, would you want to listen to us?
No, not really. I mean, we have great guests on. I mean, that's really just what it comes down to.
Also, Hat Palooza. I actually got the winner, forgot to post it for last week. There isn't one this week. We're down to 3 hats. We only have 3 hats left. So starting next week, we'll go ahead and do the final 3 hats that we have to give away. Again, any whiskey or cigar brand owners that happens to have a hat with your logo on it, if you want to participate in the next round of the Hat Palooza, send in a couple of hats, and what we do is we just give one away. We do a drawing on Instagram, and we just give one away. Just something for the fans that listen, and it kind of gets your stuff out there and gets us some eyes looking at what we post. So, but no Hatpalooza this week. We'll start again next week, and we'll start the next 3 giveaways. So, you got anything going on?
Yeah, just real quick. I'm sure most people saw our site went live for our merch. Got some pretty cool stuff on there. I just added the Meanwhile in Memphis shirt tonight. Had a few people reach out and ask why I didn't do that logo. I don't know why I didn't do that logo. It's up there now.
I mean, that's your logo. That's you.
I know. I don't know what was going on. I was too focused on getting the site right, I guess.
You're pitiful.
And I am. I'm terrible. And shout out to our brother Robert, 13 Knives. If you haven't checked out his site or his cutters, please do. This is a free little plug for him. He's hooking me up with some podcast gear this weekend. So this will be the last week I'm on my phone with earbuds and my sound's all fucked up. It's going to be the last week. Next week, it's going to be better. Not saying it's going to be right. It might take a little bit, but it's going to be better. And I appreciate Robert. I'm meeting up with him this weekend.
I mean, in the last 20 episodes, come on, let's think back. We've had your phone die twice, your earbuds die 2 or 3 times. We've started late a couple of times because nothing will connect. I mean, I'm kind of getting used to it. I kind of like it. It endures you to the podcast. It makes it real. I'm going to miss
just reminded everybody of all that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's going to be better.
All right, guys. Make sure you check out the scrolling bar at the bottom. Type in hashtag RealSmoke to enter in tonight's prizes. We are giving away 2 $25 gift cards to the Cigar Vault. So we'll do that at the end of the show tonight. Make sure that you do type in on YouTube hashtag RealSmoke. So you want to get in to the cigar that we're smoking tonight?
Let's do it.
We got something fancy about to happen. We're going to roll some B-roll. Then as soon as that B-roll ends, you can talk about it. Are you ready for this?
You don't want me to try to talk over it this time? We're not going to try it live?
I think it's a little loud.
All right, cool.
All right. Are you ready for this? Let's check out what we're smoking.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So
all right,
smoking?
the Dissident Cigars Plasmatic. The wrapper is Sumatra, Connecticut. Binder Ecuadorian. Filler Nicaraguan, Dominican. Paid about $12.50 for it, and that part is brought to you by Beard Apothecary.
So I will say, I am a sucker for a barber pole. I'm sucker for a good band, and when you have a fantastic band wrapped around a sexy barber pole, oh dear God!
Oh yeah.
I don't want to smoke it. I want to frame it. I just want this sitting on a shelf somewhere saying, here, you could have this, but I'm too pretty. So it's kind of what my wife tells me. You could have this, but I'm too pretty.
Glass case. Oh right. Yeah.
So let's go ahead and bring on our guest tonight. She is the one, the only, the master of disaster. I'm just kidding. She is the owner of Dissident Cigars, the one and only Cynn Coburn. What's up, Cynn?
Stan.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Fantastic and fabulous as always.
Good. I think it's pretty awesome that this wasn't planned, but all 3 of us are smoking the same cigar.
Nice.
How awesome is that?
That's
Can't
awesome.
be done.
It's a good one.
So how's it going?
Really good. Yeah, hot though. Hot in Nicaragua. I will say that. We finally, rainy season actually lasted really long, which I was really happy about. But starting last week, it got so hot.
So when is the rainy seasons there?
It usually starts May 15th, kind of. Some say May 24th. And what's really weird is it usually starts like on the day. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
And then around September, October, it kind of like there's like a small break where you don't get much rain. And then it goes until about December-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, and then everything starts to die off, and then we creep into dry season, and then it's really brutal here for pretty much end of March, all of April, and mid-May is like I don't advise anybody to come to Nicaragua during that.
Oh wow. So
Like,
what's the weather? What's the weather today? What's the temperature?
It was probably, well, okay, so we live on a mountain. Okay, so up here we sit a little bit cooler than in town, but in town it's probably like 95 today, I would guess.
Yeah.
So up here was probably like 92, 93. It's hard to say because everything is Celsius here. So I always have to like try to like think about it in my head. But it's been reaching like 34, 35 in town. And we sit at 33 right now, whatever that equals. So
that always messes me up. I'm like trying to do math and none of it makes sense. So like I can't do it.
And the math for it is ridiculous. Like I still haven't figured it out. So I just
it's like fucking algebra. It's terrible.
It's not like minus 32 degrees or whatever. No. It's some crazy thing. I'm like, no.
Carry the Y, add the Z. I don't even know.
Yes, exactly.
Well, this is one of the first weeks that me and Mick's been lucky. He's had places that he's been able to steal. So he's had a couple of lounges allow him to sneak in their back room and do the podcast from, or he's had a friend, one of our club members, Devin, who's allowed him to come in the garage. Oh. So he's over there sitting in his, in his t-shirt or whatever, smoking a cigar. I'm over here in a parka and going like this, dying. So I think we're kind of living it up right now. We're both probably around the 60s right now. So it's perfect.
I heard that's how the Midwest has been. So pretty good. I know that's not going to last for most of people in Midwest, but it's a good little break.
Yeah, Memphis, Tennessee also does not really have a spring or a fall. It goes from 30, 40 degrees to 80, 90 degrees. Like there's really no in between. You might get a few days, and right now I'm in those few days, but you don't get really any in between weather.
Oh, no, thank you. I couldn't handle that either.
Well, other than I'm calling this, especially for this part of the area, this is our calm before the storm. We have a bunch of severe wind and thunderstorms going to hit tomorrow, and it's going to, like the south part of Tennessee all the way into southern Florida and Louisiana, it's going to be 80, 90 mile an hour winds, tornadoes. Yeah. Oh so it's about to get nuts. So I'm glad it held off, because we've actually been out here in the middle of a podcast where we had tornadoes touching down 7 miles from my house. And I didn't realize there was tornadoes warnings going off until after the episode or at the end of it. I just happened to pick up my phone and I have messages back and forth going, "Are you outside? What are you doing? You know, there's tornadoes in the area."
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It's nuts.
Yeah, I had to take over part of the end of the show because you couldn't hear Charles anymore because of how hard the rain and the hail was hitting his structure there. It was so bad. But this is the first time I think we've ever kicked off an episode talking about weather. I don't know. Yeah. Is this good or bad? I don't know.
I'll sprinkle some good on there.
There you go. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into the interview. Like I told you before, we like to go ahead and jump all the way back in time to before Cynn was, Cynn of Dissident. So question I always ask was, who was Cynn? How did Cynn grow up, and where did she grow up? And tell us about the young version.
I actually grew up everywhere. So it's a pretty crazy story. I was born in Tucson, Arizona, and only lived there for, I believe, 2 years. Once my brother was born, we moved to Massachusetts and lived there for about 5 years. I believe somewhere in there we moved to New Hampshire for a little bit and then back down to Massachusetts. But most of my memories start in Massachusetts. And then after 5 years, moved to Michigan and spent the rest of my time until 2003. I moved to to Maryland. Because my then husband was in basic training. And then once he was completed with that, we moved to Fort Hood, Texas, and we were there for 8 years, and then lived in Colorado, and then in Utah, and then in Michigan, and then in Iowa, and now Nicaragua.
So you don't have to really get into it if you don't want, but was your parents' army, or is that why you were as a kid, or not? You just moved around.
We didn't have a lot of money, so I don't know the full story about it because I'm not close with my parents. I actually haven't talked to them in years. But from what I figured out, we didn't have a lot of money, and I think it was like a matter of being close to friends that helped them maybe. So yeah, we bounced around a lot, but I don't know the history behind that. Michigan, I had a lot of family that lived in Michigan. And so when we got to Michigan, my grandma was there and we lived across the street from her. And then my parents got divorced and then we branched off. I grew up mostly in Detroit. So yeah, spent most of elementary, middle school, and high school in Detroit. And then from there, went to Maryland. So
wow, it's
crazy.
a lot of bouncing around. Usually when you hear that, it's somebody who's like an Army brat or somebody, you know, who grew up in that military style family. And then because you said about Fort Hood and stuff, I was like, man, maybe it all connected. But I got you.
Yeah. Fort Hood was my adult years. But I swear my childhood primed me for the adult years because, like I said, most of my memories start in Massachusetts. And they were pretty big memories. Like I almost got kidnapped at one point. My brother and I, like the guy actually offered candy. And like I knew as a kid, I'm like, don't take the candy. And my brother was like, hell yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. And so I just like booked it home. And by the time I got my mom and we went back down to the front of our neighbor's house, the guy was gone. But yeah, my brother was all for that candy.
Oh, wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So like,
I mean, that was a straight up stereotype. Hey, little kid, I've got candy and kitty cats.
Can you believe it? And like, that was the only thing my mom really said was don't take candy from strangers. So
some guy.
Yeah.
So we know who, so we know who they wrote that lesson about.
Somebody almost got me last week with free cigars. I almost fell for it. So crazy.
I don't know. I feel like that would be a hard one.
It depends on the cigars.
So what was it? The Dane Cook? I think it was Dane Cook who did the skit about he was like, hey kid, I got a bicycle in the back of my van. He's like, fuck yeah, I want a bicycle. And he like busts through the back of the van. He's like, where's the bike? Some things are hard to turn down.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a price.
Yeah. I did learn recently though that there's a lot of women talking about how they are starting to cover themselves in glitter before they go to bars and places. So that way, like, glitter gets all over men so they can catch, like, cheating men or, like, they can't get kidnapped because there'd be glitter all over the person. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
That's I never thought about that.
I don't know if that's ignorant or brilliant. I mean, it's one of the two. That's crazy.
It's almost ingenious.
It is. Wow.
Sometimes like I know I'm really smart, but then stuff like that I can never think of on my own. And I'm like, like how does my brain work? Because that never crossed my mind.
Yeah, I don't think I would have ever thought of that.
Yeah.
So after elementary school, high school, and all that, what did you go into after that? I guess I know you didn't jump straight into cigars, but what profession was you into after that? Where did life take you? Before being a military wife, I was actually a florist, floral designer.
Didn't go to school for it, but worked my way up with that. I have a very artistic brain, so that worked really well. But then went straight to Fort Hood and spent 8 years there, and I was a stay-at-home mom. Because of my past, I became a sexual assault and domestic violence advocate. So basically what that means is like the police would have your number. And if there was ever like a rape case, domestic violent case, sexual assault case, anywhere from child all the way up to a senior citizen, basically you can meet them at the hospital. So they're not alone and you sit with them from the hospital all the way through going to court and you're their advocate the entire time, basically. So I got certified to do that. And then I was in school for social work for a little bit. And then I worked at a law firm for estate estate planning. So I did a lot of wills and trusts and actually helping the elderly because, you know, the elderly get taken advantage of a lot. And so I helped with like the Medicare and Medicaid aspect of that, and just making sure that all their affairs were in order so they didn't get taken advantage of, even after death. I ran a boys' home. I ran a boys' home for 4 years, and they were all court-ordered to live there. They were all juvenile sex offenders. And basically the court system said, instead of putting you in jail, we're going to send you to this home and you're going to do intensive therapy, basically. And so they lived in this home for up to 2 years. And yeah, so I ran that. And that was really intense. I went through a lot with that. I don't regret any of it, but there's definitely a burnout rate, I would say, in the
I would say that would have to be mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausting.
It was, and also very rewarding, because you learn that, you know, these children who are perceived as monsters, most of them were not monsters. They were actually just a product of their environment. So a lot of those kids were actually victims themselves. So, you know, we had one child whose parents sold him for drugs all the time. And so he learned at a young age what felt good and how to manipulate and all that. So he just reoffended. He learned stuff from his parents, and then without knowing, just kind of did it to other kids, and then became part of the system and never felt love, never understood love. He was moved around in the system all the time. So he became a behavior kid, right? But I was able to see through all that and understand him. And for the first time, like, he was feeling love, and like true love and true acceptance and what that means. And he was one of the success cases, because he ended up being adopted out and everything, like just a wonderful child in the end. So in that aspect, it was really rewarding. I did have to go through a couple suicides, unfortunately. So, I mean, there is definitely a lot of hard things to it as well. But then after that, I worked at a car dealership, and I realized
you have absolutely worn a lot of hats.
Yeah. Yes. And that was not, just so you know, like, that is totally not my gig. I couldn't lie. I was brutally honest with people. Like, I'm just not that person. And so I was like, this is not for me. What else have I, there's so much. I was a photographer at one point, motivational speaker. I did that with Josh. And then what else?
All right, so let's go into that one. Just knowing you from, you know, getting to know you through the TriStar, we got to know Josh as well, which Josh is your husband. How did that happen? How did you meet Josh?
Through social media. It's the weirdest thing, because like, I was at the point where I was like, I'm never going to be in a relationship again. I'm just going to be a single cat lady the rest of my life. And I ended up, like, I don't know, I was on Instagram, and I came across his page, and he looked familiar to me, but I couldn't figure out why, because at that point he was already growing a beard and like was not the person that I realized I saw many years ago when he was heavy into motivational speaking. And it took me a couple years to figure it out, that I actually recognized him from 10 years prior, when he was writing his books and going all over the world doing that stuff. So, but anyway, for the record, I followed him, but I didn't say a word to him. I commented on his stuff, but it was him that slid into my DM.
So, let it be known.
Yeah, I was actually making fun of him in one of his posts about, like, he acted like he just woke up in the morning and he got down on the ground to do push-ups. And I was like, you had to get out of bed and put your camera down to record yourself. Then you had to get
called him out on his video, on his you know, you should be healthy video. You called him out on it.
I did, but I wasn't mean about it. I was just like, I don't know. I'm always sarcastic, and I'm just the one to like throw the punches. So it was pretty funny. So he messaged me about that, and he's like, "Oh, you have a sense of humor," and started talking from there. And yeah, that's how that went. And then, yeah, so there was a point where I was in ROTC, and then I was doing a lot of like smaller, I don't like speeches in smaller groups because of what I was doing with like the domestic violence stuff and, you know, the boys home and all that. And he told me that he was a motivational speaker. And so we just started doing it together, and then it worked out perfectly. Like never in a million years did I think that I would do that. But yeah, did that. And then he actually retired from that just prior to, was it moving to Iowa or here? It was one of the two. It was either when we moved to Iowa, he retired doing that, or it was moving to Nicaragua, obviously, because, you know, we're here. But I can't remember how it went. But yeah. And he wrote 4 or 5 books. I think 4, but there's a 5th one out there that he doesn't talk about.
That's the one I need to buy.
Oh,
Right?
so that's the one we need to find out about.
Yeah,
So I'll
because
be-
it's absolutely not who he is as a person today. I would say it's a very dark book, but it's a reflection of what he went through in his younger years. But yeah, he doesn't talk about that book often. But I will say that there are people that have it.
Is any of his books still available?
No, well, okay. So on eBay, I did see it go for like $300.
No
I'm like,
way.
we only like sold it for 20. Like that is crazy. So
Wow.
we've seen it floating around a couple times, but no, we don't have any copies of it. We actually sold the very last copy like a few days before we moved to Nicaragua. It was the weirdest thing how well that timing worked out. So
Wow.
pretty crazy. But it's
Yeah,
a very
I actually heard he had some books, and I was looking into them leading up to this because I do my research and I just kind of want to know, you know, a little bit more. And every week, without a doubt, we learn stuff that we would not have known had we not had great people on like yourself and Josh. But his books actually sound like what was the one I heard about it on a different podcast that you guys did? It was I can't remember the name of the book. The one book that they said was just shit that everybody should say or something like that.
Yeah, shit that needs said. Yeah, that's like a good toilet book because you don't start it like you don't start at the beginning and end it. Like you can just literally open it up at any page and just read quotes out of it. So he called it a toilet book because you could just leave it on the back of the toilet while you're going to the bathroom and just grab it. It's like the equivalent of reading a shampoo bottle instead of just twiddling your thumbs, you know? I guess
Have you ever thought about doing a book? You should do a book with all the different jobs you've had and all the different bags. Like you should really do a book. I think it'd be a great seller.
Yeah, I've been told that multiple times, and I probably will, but you definitely have to be in a certain headspace. And I'm one of those people that believes like the universe guides us and, you know, it kind of puts people in our lives for a reason. And I haven't felt it strongly enough to start writing it.
Okay.
But that's a good thing because more things have happened in my life that wouldn't have gone in that book had I started it yet. So I feel like I'll just be guided into when I should write it because I mean there's so much and there's so much that I haven't talked about to the public because I'm like, oh, I want to save it for the book. But I'm kind of kicking myself for that because I know that I can help people with a lot of the things that I've gone through. So we'll see. I actually did have a guy contact me here recently about doing a documentary about me. So we'll see how that goes. Like that to me is super intriguing. So
that would be awesome.
Has Josh ever thought about like republishing any of his books?
I think if we were in the States, that would be a possibility. But we did our own shipping with that just to not have so many costs associated with the book. Because if you have like a warehouse and, you know, you're going through another company, it just ends up, it takes more out of your pocket. So we just wanted to cut the costs on that. So everything was actually stored at our house in our basement. And then we did our own shipping. So here, there's no mail system. So it'd be very hard to do it here. If we could find like a family member or something to do the shipping for us, maybe, but I don't know that he's all that interested in it. Like he even took himself off of social media. Off of Instagram, I should say, Facebook canned him, and we cannot figure out why. Like, he lost everything, like so many memories from years. Like, he was one of the first people on Facebook, you know, and it's just gone, all of it. And there's people that think it's because of me. Like, I'm forcing him not to be on social media. And I'm like, Josh, you have Instagram. Can you like post every now and then so they know it's not me? Like, because he just,
I will say this, and I told Josh this when we talked to him with TriStar. When I first met you, I met Josh, and that's when he was doing his daily, you know, hold up a sign. And I was going through a lot of shit. And those signs every day is what carried me for about a year. That kept me going. And I hated when, you know, he started like backing off, because it was like, oh man. And that was one of the things that was uniquely him. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that he would post on there was, you know, it was his personality. So that was one of the things that I appreciated that he did. So I would tell him to get back on Instagram, at least come back and just do one more.
I've been trying. I'm like, can you just like jump on there just to like comment on my stuff so people know that like you're still around at least, you know? And he commented on a couple of my things last week, I think. But I'm like, Josh, like so many people miss you. Like, can you like come on just every now and then and do a post? But the problem is he gets swamped with messages, and that's very overwhelming for him, because he has one of those personalities where he doesn't feel settled until he answers everybody. He feels like he's doing a disservice to people if he doesn't answer everyone. So in his mind, by not doing it, then he doesn't put himself in that position, because he's 100% or nothing kind of guy. So that's why he chose just to step away completely. But I get
that completely. Like so ever since we started this, I feel like I have to respond to everybody, because we appreciate all the support we've gotten so far. And I feel like if I missed one person, I'm being an asshole. Like I have a hard time with it. So I already told my oldest daughter, I was like, hey, because she's like Miss Marketing Genius whiz type chick. She's a huge supporter of our show. I'm like, if this ever gets like fucking huge, you're taking this over, because I can't sleep without making sure I respond to every single post.
Well, and you know, they did a lot of studies on this, and our brains were never meant to be immediate like this. We were never meant to have to respond to people so fast. Nothing was boom, 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 boom like it is now. Like, our brains can't comprehend that kind of stuff. And so we're being overloaded with so much information, and people wonder why they have brain fog or why they feel like they're in a slump and all this. Well, it's like, well, if you think about it, I mean, we have cell phones in our hands constantly, and we feel like we have to respond to everybody that texts us, and they get mad if you don't answer right away, or if you get a message and you don't answer right away. Well, our brains don't work like that, and we're trying to go against our natural biology with that stuff. So don't feel bad, because I mean, that will ultimately burn you out if you don't take a break for yourself. Literally, you know, there's evolution and all that stuff. What we're going through with technology is far faster than how our minds and our being can evolve into that. There's just no way. It's way too fast. So I try to tell them all the time so I don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah, you can see it with the kids, because my job deals with kids on a daily basis. And that is the one thing that they're used to, instant gratification. And if they can't have it now, they give up and quit.
Yep.
And that is the one thing that our generation, our parents, were solely against. And it seems like this generation, a lot of the parents are okay with it. You know, if the kid doesn't get the instant gratification, okay, they can move on to something else. And it's setting up for something bad.
It's detrimental, in my opinion. I mean, even the cartoons that are out now, like, the stimulus is so high that you can't compete with that. Like, those kids are going to be so like just all the dang time if you don't limit that stuff. Like our goddaughter, I'll put on like classic cartoons and stuff because I don't want her exposed to that high stimulus stuff. There's nothing good that can come out of that, in my opinion. Like there's nothing wrong with old fashioned eating some dirt and staying outside and playing and drinking out of a garden hose and doing all that stuff. I mean, I feel like we're the last generation that did that. And I'm proud of that, and that's one of the reasons why we moved to Nicaragua, because it does set you back. And that was really important for me and my kids, was to get out there and eat dirt and touch grass and learn how to survive, because you never know what's going to happen in this world. You never know. But so they're learning things like how to sharpen a machete, how to grow a garden, how to repair vehicles. I pulled, and you guys, there's going to be lots of opinions on this, and everyone has their own opinions, but I pulled my kids out of traditional school because I didn't agree with what they were being taught. And I felt that I could do a better job about teaching my kids life, and right down to budgeting and, all these very important things, investing, all that. We have our 19-year-old who started working in the tobacco field a few years ago. That's life skills right there that I think are so important, because no, he may not grow tobacco if he moves back to the States, but he's going to know how to grow a damn garden, and those things are important. Community is important. And that's one wonderful thing about Nicaragua is community. There's not TVs everywhere and stimulus everywhere. It's community. It's people helping each other and talking to each other. And, hey, I need this. Can you do this for me? I'll give you that. And, a lot of that stuff still going on, which I think is vital and so important. And I want to continue that. I mean, even in the US, our thoughts on like our elderly going into nursing homes versus in Nicaragua, they're multi-generational homes. Or like, when you're 18 in the US, you move out of your house, and that's just custom. That's just standard. You move out of your house at 18. Here, they're like, why are you moving out? Why are you moving out of the house? They want you to stay in the house. They want you to contribute and help the family and continue to care financially and in all the aspects, and I think that's beautiful, because that taught us that we don't need to pressure our kids to be out of the house at 18. We love our kids, and we only get so much time with them. And as long as they're contributing, we don't need them out of the house, and we've never set that rule with our kids. And that's something that I hope they pass on to their kids, that it's okay to be in the home, just contribute. Don't be like the basement dweller, but contribute. 100%. And I think that's a beautiful thing to keep families tight knit. And that's necessary, especially now with social media and nothing being face to face. At least be face to face with your family, Yeah.
No, I completely agree. We, my youngest moved out when she was like 18 because some boyfriend stuff and whatever. Not going deep into it, but I agree. Keeping that family close and building that relationship is really what this generation needs right now. Because like everybody's so disconnected, and I even find me and the wife talk about it all the time. And yes, right now we're using technology to do this awesome show, and everybody's tuning in. It's great, instant gratification. But I find myself trying to respond to those posts and trying to keep up with the stuff on the Instagram side and whatever, while my wife's sitting 10 feet from me, who I love dearly, that we're not even communicating for hours on end because I'm on my damn phone. So like it's something that disconnection I think does need to happen. And bravo to you for saying that. Like I think it's something that everybody needs to look at, is at least taking that time away from technology.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, set some ground rules with technology, because if not, I mean, I find myself every single night I'm laying in bed and I'm going through TikTok. That's just what I do. And then I'm like, oh my God, the amount of blue light that my brain is just being exposed to. No wonder I have to take sleeping pills, I'm like, there's just so much. And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta change my nightly routines. But yeah, I mean, pulling away from that, and even the daylight light bulbs, in my opinion, drive me insane. I'm like, why did we have to go away from the yellow, beautiful light bulbs? Why did the states push, the blue lights? I don't know. Anyway, there's just so much to it. I could go on and on for hours about this stuff. But like us as a family, we sit around at night, every night we sit as a family around Edison lights, you know, the nice yellow glow. And we sit as a family and smoke cigars and talk and do the thing every single night. We have a TV in our room, but we don't have a TV anywhere else. Like we don't watch TV. I couldn't even tell you the shows that are on. I don't know what's going on in this world outside of what I see on TikTok. And honestly, like I kind of prefer it. I think I'd be outside like in people if I knew everything that was going on. And I pride myself on being a kind person, and I don't want to be pushed in the other direction.
One more thing that you touched on real quick. I know you said about like the younger generation doesn't understand like, you know, balancing bills and finance and stocks and stuff like that you touched on. I was actually out at a bar recently with an acquaintance, and we were talking, and we're like, man, if you could do a 1 week course where people did not have their like young kids between maybe 18 and 21 or somewhere in that age, you could teach them more in that week with no phones and teach them about budgeting money and actually life skills. If you could put something together like that for like a 1 week course, you could make a fucking $100 million in life. Because like nobody knows that shit anymore. Nobody knows how to change a tire. Nobody knows how to freaking budget bills or how to plan to invest in your future. Mm-hmm. And it's all stuff that I think it's overlooked in the grand scheme of things in education and different aspects of growing the younger generation. And it's just stuff that I think needs to be looked at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially the investing part, because there's so much that can be done with that people just don't understand. And you could be sitting on a gold mine if you just learn investing, and right down to like, you know, IRAs and stuff. Like, I feel like the new generation is so out of touch with what that stuff even is. Like, I didn't even know what that stuff was. I had to teach myself. But I knew that like my grandparents did it. So I'm like, well, what is this? Well, I ended up taking courses and everything on it to learn about it because, you know, there are good things to technology, as you said. And I think that technology in the stock market, we're in like the golden age with that right now. And people need to learn it and understand it because it's going to make millionaires out of people if they just learn the stock market right now, because we're at a turning point. Like, and I wish more people would listen because there are already millionaires because of the stock market and cryptocurrency. And I won't go into detail about that, but I'm an advocate for that, you know, because I see what's going on. And I'm like, you guys, I'm like telling my kids, invest in Bitcoin, invest in, you know, I talk about XRP, you know, like all these different things. I'm like, you guys are going to make so much money, but no one wants to listen. And I'm like, okay,
no.
Whatever.
Absolutely. See, on the other side of that coin, where I deal with kids all the time, and we deal with a lot of young teenagers and kids about to turn teenagers, I've always told my wife that I was going to start a class that was like a seminar or a workshop that was teaching young men how to be young men. And it was how to dress, how to tie a tie, how to change your tire, how to check your oil, how to set a table, how to cook, how to do simple meals, but basically how to teach a young man to be a young man, because how to answer a phone, how to properly shake someone's hand, you know, look somebody in the eye, you know, and it was one of the things that we used to joke about, that kids these days don't do that. No, now it's not a joke. Kids these days don't know how to do that.
Yeah, it's true. And there's actually a really good book. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called like The Gentleman's Handbook or something. It's really, really good. It goes over all those basics, how to tie a tie, how to do all those things. Like, it's a wonderful book. And so I highly recommend it because we are losing touch with those basic things, like, for sure.
Yeah, where are we going to be in 20 more years? Like, it's just insane to me.
In pods.
Yeah. Yeah. What's that? Ready Player One movie. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, that stuff scares me. I'm like, oh, man.
Love that movie, but yeah, it does scare me too.
So let's jump back a little bit. The last thing that you talked about is that you met Josh. You guys were kind of doing the whole inspirational kind of talking kind of things. And what ended up bringing you guys to decide that, hey, we're finally going to leave the States, you know, we're going to move to Nicaragua? How did that process happen?
So back like maybe 2 weeks or a week before the whole COVID shutdowns, Josh and I went to Nicaragua and we did the Oveja Negra tour. And after that, we went to James and Angela's house, which was like 4.5, 5 hours south in a town called San Juan del Sur. And we fell in love with the area. And so we wanted to take the kids here just on like a little vacation. And then when we got back, like a week later is when everything shut down. And so the kids were like, well, why don't we just move there? And I'm like,
oh, wow.
Why don't you guys do your own research? And, you know, like, because of course I'm talking it up, but not thinking they would ever say anything like that. You know, I'm just thinking vacation and beautiful beaches and all this stuff. And so I had them research it and just do all the stuff on their own, go on YouTube, read articles, whatever, which, you know, you have to take with a grain of salt, you know, especially on Google. There's a lot of like the government has Nicaragua listed as like a orange or something, like dangerous, don't come here, and which is not true at all. Like this is such a safe country. So you have to be careful with some things, but which they saw that and they asked us questions and we told them like, no, it's very safe and there's nothing to worry about. So anyway, ultimately it didn't change their minds and they still wanted to move here. And so we said, okay, well, if you want to move here, you need to get rid of all your stuff except for what can fit into one suitcase. And they did it. And like, we were able to sell our cars. The book we sold through that. And so ultimately I found a house through a relocation agent that's out here in Nicaragua, and got everything set up, even bought a vehicle before we were here. So it was here waiting for us. I did all of that. And then, yeah, we all had one suitcase each and we went here. Technically, we don't live here. We're still tourists. You can't have dual citizenship or citizenship here, period, if you're not a Nicaraguan, but you can do residency, which we were originally doing residency here. And then we stopped that because there was some rules that changed. And we already invested all the money into it too. It was like $30,000. But anyway, we put a stop to that. And now we're waiting for Josh to hit retirement age, which is in a year. For Nicaraguan laws, you can retire at 45. And so we can do residency that way. So we're already starting the process with that. So until then, we're just tourists and we have to go back and forth is how that is viewed. So yeah, we don't live here yet, but we will live here once we get the paperwork done.
So you're just long-term visiting.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. So now that you're long-term visiting, you've already visited the Oveja Negra factory. Mm-hmm. What happens to make you guys decide that you're going to jump in and purchase Dissident? Because Dissident was an already established brand, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's actually been out since 2013, I believe. And so I'm the third owner. But I don't know the story behind the last owner or how, like, why he dropped Dissident, but it was offered to me, like, it was December of 2021, I believe, or November, something like that, when it was offered to me by James and Angela, because they didn't want to see it die. But they didn't want it either because they have their own babies, you know, they have their 3 brands in the factory and stuff. So that was a lot for them to take on. So basically it was just one of those things where I wanted the brand, but I wanted to make sure that financially I could afford it. Cause I mean, running a cigar business is not cheap, and to buy an already established cigar business is also not cheap. So I had to think that one over, but obviously I said yes. And that's how that got started. So it's pretty crazy, but it was great though, because I mean, the access to the factory. I mean, it is a 5-hour drive, but access to the factory directly where I can touch the leaves and do blending in person, that's huge. So that's how that came about.
Yeah, I guess that kind of, you kind of already answered it, but so how does a cigar brand get offered to you? Or like, were you in the market for it? Like, is that how that came about? Or like, just because of the people you knew, they kind of knew you were looking for something to invest in, or how's that work?
Well, James and Angela were friends of ours. So, I mean, they knew we smoked cigars and we were around them all the time. And, I was pretty educated in cigars. And so they're like, hey, between your education and what you know, and being here in Nicaragua and your lifestyle, we really think that this brand is perfect for you guys. What do you think? And I agreed with that. There wasn't anything that I changed with Dissident. It was absolutely what I am. It was actually pretty great. So that's how that came about. It was just good timing.
Yeah, I will say that I've only been heavily gone down a rabbit hole with cigars for probably 4 years now ish. Like I've smoked cigars pretty much my whole adult life, but it was off and on, birthday parties, bachelor parties, fishing, stuff like that. I'd take a few cigars with me. That's kind of how I built up to it. But it wasn't until I moved down here like a few years ago that Charles kind of took me down a rabbit hole with some stuff. I joined the TriStar crew, and I really went down a rabbit hole with it. So as long as I've known Dissident, I've known Cynn. So like it's kind of goes hand in hand with me. So it is awesome because I don't see it any other way in my mind.
That's really cool. Yeah. I mean, and like the education on cigars is endless, and the things that you can do with cigars is endless. As we were talking prior to the show, I'm really in it deep in the tobacco fields and learning that aspect of everything, because I feel that that's important. You can own a cigar company and just blend cigars or put a label on cigars, but then there's that next step of actually understanding the tobacco fields and how it's grown, and just learning different aspects of that, from the soil to the way the sun hits it to different types of irrigation, or what that soil is feeding that plant. And, if you move 30 feet in the next direction, does the soil change? And now what is that plant doing because of that soil? And, are you doing traditional farming, or are you using machines, and you learn that machines actually aren't good for tobacco plants because it compacts the soil, and you need loose soil in order to absorb all the nutrients. And then you have to go in even further and learn about how you can't just continuously plant tobacco plants. You have to supplement it with other things to reintroduce the nutrients that were now lost because the tobacco plants took it all. I mean, there's so much to it. I mean, it's so fascinating. It's just incredible. So I've been really diving deep in that end and learning that, so I can take part in more and have a full grasp and understanding as to what this is that we are smoking. And I've taken it even further, and I've done cigar sommelier classes to get my certification on that, because I mean, you start to go into, well, obviously cigars pair well with certain things. Well, why is that? And it's not just this bourbon goes good with this. It's, the first third, the second third, the final third, and how that can change, the bourbons that you drink. And I mean, it's just insane how much there is to this. And people that don't smoke cigars just think a cigar is a cigar. And that is like so far from the truth. I mean, fermentation on its own changes so much to a cigar. I mean, just by this fermentation factory versus this fermentation factory, and what they do and how long this process is for, say, for the Viso versus the Seco or the Ligero. And I mean, there's just so much. And then you have your Mexican leaves and what they have to do with that versus Brazilian. And it's mind blowing. It is absolutely mind blowing. And I'm here to educate people on that, so they not only enjoy smoking cigars, but also have an appreciation for the cigar, because it's not like a cigarette. It needs to be respected and honored. And, one thing that the cigar sommelier course taught me is don't ever which I've never done this, by the way, but don't ever put your cigar out like a cigarette. Always set it down to let it die. but which I've always done. But the way they worded it, it was like to let it die with honor and dignity. And I'm just like, yes, that's absolutely what that is, because this goes back to, like, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of years there has been tobacco, and people using it for ceremonies. The Bahique used it, and in the Cohiba ceremony, and there is a respect aspect that we need to keep in our minds at all times, because even though times of the Bahique, it's the times of there are still families out there drying the leaves and cutting the tobacco, and in these third world countries who make nothing, and they're doing this just so we can appreciate the cigar that we're smoking. So it does need to be respected, and it should die with dignity and honor and respect.
So when you took over Dissident, I guess you said that it aligned with what you guys liked so well that you didn't have to change anything. But when you got the keys to the mansion, what did you guys do? What was your process? Did you start ripping through blends and going, okay, does anything need to change? What was the next step that you guys took?
Yeah, so a lot of Dissident Cigars, when I bought this company, Dissident's known for having heavier cigars. I mean, all of Oveja Negra basically is known for having heavier cigars. That's just, that's something that it's not a bad thing by any means. That's what they're known for, because they're good at it. We all enjoy these full-bodied, robust cigars. But I decided that I need to add more complexity to Dissident. So I started coming out with lighter lines, like the Molotov, the Plasmatic, the Revolt, which is similar to the Home, but I took it down a notch. So yeah, just introducing stuff that you can smoke that isn't necessarily full body and not a kick to your ass. So
see, that was my next question. Was I remember when right before the Molotov came out, and we got a chance to talk to you, and you were talking about you were getting to do something that you were really excited about, and you were putting together your first cigar that you're blending. So let's talk about how you went into the Molotov, which I will say, I love Dissident Cigars. When the Molotov came out, that became my cigar. I bought every one of them I could. When you decided, hey, we're going to do another line, and all these boxes are here, and I'm just going to sign them all, I was like, hell yeah, bought a box. When the next release came out, I started buying them again. I just had one the other night. So let's go through. I mean, you've got the Molotov, the Revolt, and what we're smoking tonight, the Plasmatic. So if you want to talk anything about the blends or your process of going through any of those three new cigars.
And the Heretic. But yeah, the Molotov, that one was basically, I really wanted to incorporate Ometepe in that one. And what's crazy is a lot of times when cigar owners blend a cigar, they will put that it's, Nicaraguan, Dominican for filler, Ecuadorian for the binder, and then whatever the wrapper is. But they don't go into detail about the region. And I did that with the Molotov. And I had a lot of people irritated with me because it's kind of like giving away a secret. But I was adamant about it because I think that these people who grow this tobacco, even though I didn't say exactly what field or anything like that this tobacco came from, I felt it was important to kind of highlight the regions that this tobacco came from, because you're getting closer to basically the root of what these cigars are. Without the farmers, they're the backbone of the industry, So I wanted to show where exactly. So I did that with the Molotov, and I was very proud of that. So you guys do have the Ometepe in that. And then with the Plasmatic, I was really big on doing floral notes because, and honestly, and I'll tell you, and this is something that I think happens with every cigar blender, is they end up just blending for themselves because there's no way to please everybody. You cannot do it. No matter what you blend, there's going to be people that don't like the cigar. So I just started blending for myself. What do I want? What do I want in a cigar? And that's how Plasmatic came about, because I really wanted floral notes, because that's not something that I've experienced too much in a cigar. So that one definitely has that. Even on the cold draw, I can really taste the floral notes, raisins in the cold draw. Yeah, so stuff like that. And then with the Revolt, my intention with that one was, me personally, with the home, fresh from the factory and for about a year, it's too strong for me. I just get sick. It's just so full body and such a big cigar. It's just too much for me. But when it starts aging, like 2-3 years, it's a wonderful cigar. I mean, it smokes so smooth, in my opinion, and it's great. But I wanted something that had the same characteristics of the home without that kick to your nuts, basically, with all the nicotine. So basically with the Revolt, it has the guts of the home, just a little bit tweaked, but I didn't want to lose the integrity of the home with that cigar. So I just made it slightly lighter and more palatable for people that can't handle full body. So with the Heretic, that is actually a really good story, because for those of you that don't remember, I actually, before the Molotov even, I came out with a bourbon, the Dissident bourbon.
Oh yeah. I was on you all the time about trying to get some of that.
You know, there's a reason behind that, you know, because I have a marketing brain, and when I bought Dissident, there was no stock. Everything was wiped out in the warehouse. So everybody that knew that I bought Dissident wanted Dissident cigars, and I could not give that to people right away, because obviously the cigars had to be made. They needed to age for a little bit. That's at least 6 months. And so I'm like, you know, I'm just going to be Dissident, and I'm going to create a bourbon, and we're just going to do this. And that's going to be the first thing I release. So, and my best friend and her husband, they actually own Tenacity Craft and Tenacity Brewing. So I was able to talk to them and blend the Dissident bourbon through them. And that's how that came about. So to thank him for helping me with that, I allowed him to help blend the Heretic. So he got to play a part in that. And I think that is so wonderful, because that cigar is so good. He did a phenomenal job on that cigar, and it's one of my favorites. And I don't necessarily like that size, that Vitola. That's not one that I would normally grab. But with the Heretic, it works out so well. And I can't imagine that cigar in another size. But like personally, like Lonsdales and Churchills, I don't like the way they feel in my hand. I feel like I have to pay attention to it. Like it's just constantly like falling, you know, it's a balancing act until you get down to like the end of the second, third, then it's like better.
Yeah.
But with the Heretic, I'm like, okay, I'll deal with it for a little bit, because it's a really good cigar.
It's an unpopular opinion, but I agree with you completely. Like, I don't even love Lanceros. I've had some great tasting Lanceros, but I have big fucking hands. Like it doesn't fit. Like I hate it. But John Aldi can add the comments.
It reminds me of like a feminine cigar. I don't know. It like the Virginia Slims. Like that's what
I was
always
about to say.
My mind. I can't do that. I don't know why. I'm like sitting here like holding this long ass cigar.
Cruella DeVille.
Yeah, like so John Aldi and I believe Brian Matola both killed me for that, because I'm like, I just can't. Yes, I agree they taste great. Maybe they were blended for that Vitola, but I can't. I just feel like an asshole holding it with these big ass hands. I just can't. I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
So what is the plans for those 4 cigars? Are they going to stay something that is more of a limited release, or is it something that you're going to start keeping those as a normal production?
For Heretic?
Whether it's Heretic, Molotov, Revolt, or Plasmatic.
We've tossed it around. I feel like if any cigar is going to go core line, it would probably either be the Heretic or the Molotov. just because the response on both of those has been phenomenal. But then you get into that, like, okay, it's been so phenomenal. Is that going to die once that becomes a core line? Or do you keep the spark when you keep it limited? Does that make sense? Like, so it's kind of hard with what to do.
I think it works out great if you do not a limited release, meaning it may come out every 10 years, but a limited production to where it's, okay, we're going to come out with this cigar every year, but there's only 10,000 cigars.
Like more small batch, which is what home was.
Right. And well, that's kind of like the way as soon as you did the Molotov the second time, I remember everybody flocking to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I love the fact of that happening.
Yeah. And that one, it wasn't back to back, so people had to wait a little bit for it. And it was honestly because I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring that back out, but I decided to, because that was my first one that I did. So it's my baby, it says a lot for, how I started in this industry and what I'm capable of. So in the end, it was important for me to re-release that, though I didn't sign the boxes the second time, and people were pretty pumped about that. I feel kind of bad, but man, that was a workout signing all those boxes. So, and it makes it more rare because they're, the people that have that box, they're one of the only ones.
Yeah, I knew he had a box of it. I will say that was my
an unopened box of them.
Oh my gosh!
Still cellophaned and everything. Just saying.
Wow.
I will say that was my introduction to Dissident Cigars. Was when I first really went down the rabbit hole. That Molotov was my introduction to your cigars. I've had a few here and there, and I do enjoy them tremendously. I enjoy a stronger, full body cigar. It's rare that we talk about the cigar we're smoking while the guest is still in the air, but I'm going to say this one started off a little tame for me because I like a little stronger cigar. But as I went, I'm like, holy shit, it's transitioning hard, and it's really into that wheelhouse right now. So I'm very impressed. Keep doing what you're doing. Blend this shit the way you like it, and I'm enjoying the hell out of this for sure.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to understand the bourbons that you're drinking with your cigar as well, because if you started out with a bourbon that paired well with the beginning of that cigar, well, by the second third or the final third, you're going to think not the same. You're either going to think that cigar tastes like shit or that you picked the wrong bourbon. More than likely, you're going to think that cigar tastes like shit. So it's important to understand what you're pairing your cigar with and to feel free to change it, pick a different bourbon, only do like a small pour and then go to another bourbon that you think pairs well with the second, third. Understand the cigar that you're smoking and the flavors that you're pulling out,
Absolutely.
So those are very important. And you do kind of have to have somewhat of an education on that, or you're going to do a disservice to that bourbon and or that cigar because it's not going to taste right. And you're just going to ruin the whole experience. So
yeah, there's certain cigars that pair great with just about anything. There's certain cigars that pair well with a wine, a rum, a bourbon. But like if you find one in between there that you can pair pretty much throughout, it definitely makes sense. Like this one, with what I'm pairing it with, I'm not usually a bourbon guy, and I will say as it transitioned and the flavors off the bourbon, it's absolutely perfect. So it was maybe I got lucky tonight, but it was definitely a great pair.
Awesome, love that.
Well, I will say, as somebody who likes bourbon just a little bit, I've had this cigar to where I've done the same thing, and I started off with a 80-ish, 90-ish proof bourbon in the beginning, and realized that by the midway point of that cigar, that the cigar was overpowering the bourbon. So I went and got more of a cask strength bourbon, and the floral and the cedar notes from the cigar ended up picking up a lot of the hard caramel notes, and the black pepper notes from a good rye afterwards. So I took it up a step and took it to a higher proof rye afterwards, and it started working out really well with it. So it's that cigar, to me, that cigar will take you on a ride with the cigar and can also take you on a ride with the whiskey that you're drinking as well. Yeah, that's why it's so important to have multiple bourbons and multiple lines, multiple brands, because it's fun
honestly, to mess with all of that and figure that out. And you're absolutely right. And a good starting point, I would say, for a lot of cigars, if you're smoking a medium cigar, I would say that 80 is probably a good starting point for a lot of that, but as you're getting into it, you're going to want to move it around a little bit. So.
Well, see, that's why, somebody who enjoys drinking whiskey, I enjoy, I don't want to do a full pour of a whiskey starting out. I will do, an ounce, and I'll sip that through a cigar. And if that cigar is working well with that whiskey, I'll keep drinking that whiskey with it. But if it doesn't, that's when I switch to something else.
Yeah.
And so going in,
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for people that don't know too, like if you're kind of getting confused by what you're drinking and smoking, if you're wanting to switch it up, a great way to cleanse your palate is actually with soda water because of the bubbles and stuff. And there's no acid in it. So it's going to flush your mouth out so you can get kind of a clean palate to start on that second, third, and see if it is true what you're thinking with moving to another bourbon or staying with the bourbon that you're wanting to. So there's lots of little tricks. Same with dark chocolate and the percentages of chocolate, that goes really well with your bourbons and your cigars too. And, you can get to where, by your second, third, you're increasing your percentage of dark chocolate as well, to where it's getting more pure, because that's going to go good with a bolder cigar. So there's lots of ways that you can play with cigars when it comes to pairings. It's mind-blowing. All of it is so mind-blowing.
So
that's why I'll start. Good.
Go ahead, Mick. No, go Mick.
No, I was just gonna say that's one of my favorite things about cigars and the community, and somebody always has a different input on how to go about a cigar, or how to go about a different blend, or what to pair with it. And there's never a right or a wrong way to do it. It's just it's what works for you, and it's something I truly enjoy about this, and meeting new people and getting new input on it, because it's something we I don't know. It's just that whole rabbit hole you dive down and enjoy the ride while you go.
Yeah, it's all perception. We're all uniquely different, and what may work for one person isn't going to work for the next. But that's what's awesome about this, is you have that opportunity to change it up and try different things and see what works for you. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
So when it came to something like the Molotov, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did you come up with the name before you put the little flag on the top of it? Or was it, we've got a cigar that I want to do this. Hey, this looks like a Molotov cocktail.
Actually had the name first, and I don't remember how I came up with Molotov, but I was adamant about adding something to that cigar. And James was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is going to work. And I'm like, no, it has to work. He's like, but it's on the head of the cigar. I'm like, it's going to work. And I'm like, and it can even pop off. So if you don't have a cutter, you just pop the end off. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, and if you're using a V cut, you just smash it, like you make it thin a little bit and you put it through. Cause I mostly just use V cuts because I'm an OBS person, and I know people have their preferences, but I don't want to deal with a tight draw or
V cut everything.
Same, because even if you use a punch, you run into the risk of like tar, and but punches are good for their own things too, but anyway, with a V cut, I'm like, I'm just going to like thin the head out a little bit and push it through, and it works every time. I've never had an issue with the cigar cracking or anything. Exactly. So it worked, and it was the first cigar, and everyone's like, this is so cool, and it pops right off, and I'm like, yeah. And I actually, the way that I originally had that cigar, it was like a torpedo, but I did not like the way that one smoked. It just, before it got to the widest part, it just did not taste right. It had like way more soil components to it that I did not like. And especially with having Ometepe in there, you don't want those components, because Ometepe is known for being smooth and having like a lot of aroma to it and just very unique flavors. A lot of people can pick out Ometepe leaves in a cigar, but when I did that, it was lost. It was just so gone. So even though it looked cool and like an actual bomb, I was like, Can't do it. And I think
Wow.
that's important because it doesn't matter what the cigar looks like. It's how it smokes. And that proved that immediately. So.
So let's go to the next cigar, the one we're smoking. I know there's a story behind that one, and one of the posts, I can't remember if I did it on YouTube or whatever, but the music behind it is from who it was named after. So let's talk about how you come up with Plasmatic and why.
Wendy O. Williams, like, to me, she is just an icon because she, paved the way in that industry with her music, and she pushed the limits and the boundaries and everything. One of our reps used to go to her concerts all the time, and he always laughs about how he got arrested with her at one of the shows because she would just wear electrical tape on her boobs. And that particular show, she got arrested, and everyone that was at that show got arrested. It was just crazy. It was just those times when punk rock was really pushing to be a certain genre, and it wasn't well received for whatever reason, but it ended up being received. But it took a lot of people and a lot of people doing their own thing for it to make a mark in that world. And she was one of those people. She did not give a shit about anything. And I love that because, it didn't matter how judged she was doing her own thing. And for me as a female in this industry, it's kind of the same thing, like there's not many of us in this industry, and there certainly isn't anyone else that looks like me, and I wanted to prove to people that it doesn't matter what you look like. It's about here, it's about kindness. It's about your education, and that will make anybody like you. It doesn't matter what you look like, and so it was important to me to pay tribute to somebody who I look at in the same light, because I know that I am paving the way for a lot of women who are scared to do certain things or don't think it's acceptable to look a certain way. And I'm like, bullshit. No, like you can, because look at the way that I look, and look where I live, and look at what I do, and look what I'm still accomplishing. Like, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. In fact, people look up to me, and it's people that, honestly, in my opinion, that the ones that have a lot of tattoos, they are brilliant people. You have to have a certain mind if you are willing to cover your body in ink. Like, there's just no way around that. You have a certain mind, and it ends up being a very artistic mind, and people that think outside of the box. And they're the ones that come up with amazing ideas. Look at James. Look at the art he does. Look at the cigars he blends. It's all phenomenal. And that man is a genius, and he's fully tattooed. So it really does not matter what you look like. It's about how you present yourself with what you know. And, yes, I look the way that I do, but also I know how to talk to crowds. I can be elegant. I can go to very high class things, and I'm still accepted, and I've proven that through and through. And you guys are about to see that in June when something very specific launches, because this very specific thing that launches is for what I would call a more higher class group of people. I know everyone, it's bourbon, okay? I don't know how else to talk about this without saying what it is. But
all right, let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's talk about what's coming up.
It's Penelope Bourbon. So I've been working with them for almost 2 years. They reached out to me wanting to, well, first of all, there's a lot of bourbons who they say, it's made for cigars, or they put some kind of cigar stamp on it. But in all honesty, no one has taken the step to sit down with actual cigar blenders and have them come up with the bourbon. And this was a 2-year project. And I can't even tell you how many bourbons I have drank to come up with this that is about to be released. But it was a massive project. The amount of cigars and little flasks, it was just insane. And I learned so much from it. And I'm really proud of this, and that's one of those things, Penelope Bourbon, obviously everybody drinks it, but it's also marketed as a higher end, not higher end. I mean, it's not like they're super expensive, but you're going to see blue collar all the way up to multimillionaires drinking this bourbon. That's just the way it is. Yeah. And I have proven that I can be in that same crowd. I mean, look at that bottle. I mean, it's just beautiful. They do such a good job. So yeah, so come June, there will be what is called a cigar chapter. And this is cigar chapter 1 in the series. That's all I'm going to say about it.
That is awesome. Yes, breaking news, everyone. Breaking fucking news. Here we go.
I haven't talked about this at all. The label was leaked like maybe 3 weeks ago to a month ago. So I did share the label, but I said nothing about it. I didn't even know it was leaked. I thought
Breaking Bourbon gets all the stuff.
I know. I thought Penelope released it. So I'm like, whoa! So I'm like, posting. And then I have a meeting with them and they're like, so that was leaked. And I was like, oh, I had no idea. Yeah, so that's how that went down. But yeah, so that's going to be releasing around June from what I know. I mean, things can change, obviously. I mean, it's a corporation. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, it's a larger brand and it's national. And so, but that's a big thing coming up. So yeah. And it's really, really good. And it was me and one other person in the industry. We worked together. We're both blenders and we work together with this, and it's very exciting. Awesome. And the crazy thing about it is that his thoughts and perceptions of it for each thing that we tried was exactly the same. And he was smoking his cigars and I was smoking my cigars every single time. And we would meet up on Zoom and we all had the same notes, like not notes, smoking notes, but like written down. We all said the same things. So we were able to like narrow it down each time. And then when we would meet in person in meetings, you know, we were able to come together and try different things within that meeting and, you know, be like, nope, this one's still this. And I mean, it was just, what an experience. It was so awesome. And I'm so excited for this. So yeah. And I've
never been excited about a bourbon in my entire life, but now I am. I'm not a bourbon guy. I'm a tequila guy. I'm a rum guy. I kind of like what I'm drinking tonight, but I'm also half drunk, so it's fun. But I gotta say, I'm actually excited for that bourbon because I know you played a part in it. We appreciate what you do.
I'm extremely excited for this. Because Penelope is one of the brands that I absolutely love. And when I saw that that label leak, I was like, oh no, it's about to be crazy.
When are we getting her back on, Charles, for a pairing? We got to do a pairing. We got to have her back on for it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so great. And the fact that they reached out to me, what an honor. You know, it wasn't me reaching out to different companies being like, hey, I would love to do this. I had no idea this was coming. And they're like, hey, we feel like you're the perfect fit for this. We really want your input. We know that you're educated on cigars. And I'm just like, what an honor. I mean, just a blessing. Okay. So I'm so excited about it. And I don't think this is the last of it either. So
are you willing to drop who the other person was that you worked with?
Unfortunately, I can't say that. I feel like I've said too much. I feel like I would do a disservice to him to mention him because I feel like he deserves to, you know, drop the bomb on everyone too. So I'll keep him private. Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. But wonderful person.
All right. Awesome. So no, go ahead. I got you.
I have cut you off like 10 times tonight, brother. No, I'm backing up a lot because we got distracted with the bourbon, which we're super excited about. But you said about the tattoos and like we love your style. We love what you're doing, and we also agree that each person tells a story with that. And I did want to ask one quick question before we go into. I know we're kind of getting long here, but like we wanted to talk about. I had a question about like how did the tattoo journey start? Look at that guy. There he is.
There he is.
We're talking about tattoos.
What's up, brother?
I didn't want to rate it too far or for too long because it's all about Women's Empowerment Month, right?
It is. Women domination.
I can't sneak in and steal anybody's thunder here.
It's not about bearded guys.
Oh, nice. Yeah, tattoos. Great.
Yeah. So I partly missed the question. Was it how I got into tattoos?
Yeah, like how did the journey start there? Because I mean, like I'm also sleeved and I have a lot of tattoos, but like I kind of wanted to know like how did it start where you're like I'm going for this, like this is awesome, this is what I want to do, because like we talked about, it's an artistic journey, it's kind of an expression of yourself.
Mhm.
How did that start for you?
I mean, tattoos have always been appealing to me. I mean, even as a child. So it couldn't happen fast enough, in my opinion. And the only reason why I don't have more is because I would be completely broke if I was just like, that's everything right now. I'm trying to be like, okay, now's a good time to do this. I mean, and the healing time on it can be crazy,
Oh, yeah.
you know? So that's how that started. I just started slowly working on it. And, you know, obviously I have kids, so there was other priorities to that. So it's taken years and years for me to get this done. But what's awesome is my tattoos are from everywhere. I mean, I don't know. I guess the guy that did this, he also did my leg. But other than that, like everything is from everywhere and just different artists, which I think is awesome, you know. And there's a lot of people that don't do that. They stick with one artist. But I think in my opinion, the more people that can put their art on you, the better, because it all tells a story. And, you know, it's a canvas for them as well. So I don't know. And I'm not done. I'm not anywhere near done. You know, I'm like, do I do the underside of my arms next? Do I do my stomach next? What do I do? So there will be more. I just don't know what to do or when to do it. So, but with Josh, he's been in the industry forever since he was, what, 18?
Yep.
Yeah, he used to
Awesome.
own a tattoo shop. So he's been
Okay.
doing stuff forever.
Yeah. I did like heavy body mods, like scarification and suspension and branding and, you know.
Okay. The place I go to forever is called Body Mod, so it's odd that you say that. But like I actually fly home to see family and get tattoos. I've been going to this. I've been going to the same chick for a long time. She is gorgeous and she is one of the best artists I've ever seen in my entire life. And so it makes it easy for an 8 to 10 hour session with someone who's very pretty looking back at you. So it's
Like, it's okay, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
That's brutal, man. That's brutal.
Well, I will say this since Josh is on here. One, there's a lot of people on here, and I just posted one of them on here that say they miss you. We miss seeing you on Instagram. But one day I told Cynn earlier, I said, one day I just need you to get and jump back on there and do one of your little signposts to where you're just holding it, and that's it. Because that there was about a year that my life needed that, and it was there for me, and you were there for me, and that's when I first met you guys through TriStar. So I miss that because that reached a lot of people. But it's good seeing you back on here.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's a big part of my life that I had been doing since like
20 years, over 20 years?
Forever, like for years. Way back in MySpace days, I was doing it. And I took time off here and there, a year, 2 years, now and then, like between like 2008 and maybe 2010, I didn't do it. And, you know, now I haven't done it for a while. And I think it's important to do when it's the right time to do it. And I also think that it's important not to do when it's not the right time. And maybe it'll come back, maybe it won't. But my best advice always is, all it is encouraging words on a piece of paper. There's a lot of people that got right hands with pencils that can put that stuff out there. And it doesn't have to be me. Imagine if we all did it. Imagine if there was, 1,000 people that did that every day for people. That'd be huge. So that's always where I'm at. But thank you. It does mean a ton.
I see a challenge coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see.
Awesome. Well, it's good seeing you on here.
Yeah, it was good to see you guys.
I guess the last official question before we go into our hot box questions real quick before we let you go. Is there anything new? I know we got the bourbon coming out. We're excited about that. Is there anything new coming out with Dissident? Cigar related. Either cigar related, merch related, hat, shirt. What's on the horizon?
You want to hit it? You want me to hit
I
it?
told him there's a lot more hands-on involvement with Dissident coming up.
Dish.
Yeah.
I told him I've been working in the tobacco fields and learning that aspect. So there's a lot of changes to Dissident that I'm excited about.
There's
Awesome.
your dish.
There we go.
That's it.
Nothing like being vague. I love it.
She did look a little deer in the headlights there for a second, so I do believe there's something coming, but it's cool. We'll wait, look the rest of the people.
We can't say much about it, but it's good things.
We'll take that. We'll take it.
All right. Well, before we let you go, we always end all of our segments with the brand owner with doing what we call hot box questions. 10 random questions that we're going to ask you, and you get to come up with whatever you would like, whether it's a short story, long story, or whatever, but it's whatever's on the top of your head. Are you game for it?
Oh,
I'll give you the spotlight back because it's the hot box.
Yes.
It was a pleasure, guys.
Josh, thank
Thanks,
you.
Josh.
Good seeing you, brother.
It'll be
He just
easy.
ran into the door.
I have to say, wow, he just took the house down with him.
He did.
All right, so before we go into this, we need to do this, and this is dedicated to all the beard lovers out there. Our sponsor for the Hot Box Questions is Beard Apothecary. Beard Apothecary is a small business dedicated to crafting high-quality beard care products made in small batches to ensure freshness and attention to detail. Proper beard care is essential for maintaining healthy, well-groomed beard, and using only premium butters and oils is crucial. These high-quality ingredients deeply nourish the hair and skin, preventing issues like dryness, irritation, and split ends. Beard Apothecary's commitment to using only the best natural ingredients ensures that your beard stays soft, manageable, and looking its best. Come check them out at beardapothecary.com or on Instagram at beard_apothecary. Trust me, from the guys on here at the Real Smoke Podcast, your beard will thank you for it. We absolutely love these guys. John, who's been in the comments, his wife is the one who makes them. It's all natural. And it is wonderful, wonderful products.
Crazy.
Outstanding.
I've never seen those diffusers before. Before today on TikTok, I saw them. And then for the second time right here, I've never seen those. And I learned that like the smell goes through those ropes and then the bead stops it. That's so cool. Like it blew my mind. That's the second time today I've seen it. So now I got to get it.
Yeah, they're amazing.
It's I put one in my car, and my daughter, every time she gets in there, it always says, "Your car smells so good." And it's
We need that here.
The oils inside the diffuser is the same oils that's in the beard oil. So
that is awesome.
your beard oil, your beard butter, your car all smells the same. And if your wife likes it, if your kids like it, it's a win-win for everybody.
And it's a skull too, right? Like I have
Yes,
to get
it is.
some of those now because
It's
like
amazing.
living in the jungle is just, it does a number on our car, and we try to keep it out of pictures because I mean, that'd be a good accessory to have in our car.
Oh yeah, the skull will make the difference.
Yeah.
All right, Mick, question number 1.
All right. So just as a prerequisite, we changed some questions around for Women's Month, but you get a special one tonight. So here we go. First one though, what is your least favorite sound?
Chewing.
That's 2 for 2. There it is.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
There'll be times where I'm like, all right, we got to turn on the TV because I can't handle the sound of. What is that? What is that called? They're like misophonia or something like that. There's
Something, yeah.
I swear on all that is holy, I have that. I even had to buy wooden spoons so I didn't hear the sound of metal.
Love it. Love it.
Is that a beige flag or a red flag that I have me?
No, I'm the same way. I can't take it.
Most
either.
people are the exact same way. I actually recently quit chewing tobacco, and I started chewing the nicotine gum to wean myself off. And the wife's ready to kill me because I apparently chew too loud. So yes, everybody has it. You're spot on. Yeah.
All right. So my question number 2, and this one, we did aiming towards the female month. As someone who has a 13-year-old daughter, what advice would you give to any preteen, teenage daughter who is looking to find her way and what she wants to do in life?
I would say that intuition is a huge thing. The female intuition is massive. And I think that, especially as a teenager, they downplay those feelings because they want to fit in and just be liked by everybody. But I think that when you listen to that and when you do your own thing, you become uniquely you. And I think that is so important. Had I tried to fit into all these different crowds growing up, I don't know that I would be where I am today. So I think it's important to not care what other people think and to do what you feel is right in your heart, whether it's the art that you like, the music that you like. That's all important to who you are. I mean, if we didn't live in Nicaragua, I don't know that my daughter would like the music that she does. But because she hasn't been influenced by the popular music in the States, she's listening to music from the 50s, the 60s, Latin music. I mean, she knows artists where I'm like, that my grandma listened to that. How did you know about this? You know, but she just does her own research and she likes what she does. And I think that's awesome. So just do what you feel is right and don't worry about what people think, because those people they don't pay your bills. They aren't in your life forever. And the right ones stick around for who you are.
Man, that's fucking spot on. That's awesome.
And also the best time to talk to your daughter, because I'm all about research, and the best time to have the best conversations with your daughter, particularly your daughter, is in the car, because you're not face to face. And so when they're sitting next to you or behind you, the stress is lowered and you'll actually get more of your kids. And chances are they're going to talk to you on their own. And if you think about it, when you're in the car and they're not on their phones, they're usually chatting it up with you. And that's because there's a different dynamic going on. So the best conversations should happen in the car.
There you go.
I've raised 2 daughters, and come to think of it, that is when I've had some of the best conversations. That's really super odd that you say that, but that's very insightful. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, question number 3. And maybe this plays into tonight or maybe it doesn't, but favorite band or artist?
Oh, I can never answer that because music always hits me in my soul. It doesn't matter what the genre is. If it hits me, then I like it. So there's yes, I'm a metalhead and I love rock music, but I also love everything else as well. I mean, like, I'm sure Josh thinks I'm crazy at times because I'll be up here working out and listening to the weirdest music. And he's like, I didn't even know you like that. And I'm like, well, I like this song. Like, I like the words. I like the way it makes me feel. So I live for music. I have to have it. So there's nobody in particular that I would say is a favorite. There's people that I look up to, Wendy O, I think she's wonderful. A lot of people that paved the way, but I think they all deserve the spotlight for what they've accomplished.
Awesome.
Great answer.
So question number 4, what is the one thing that can set you off?
Chewing.
Full circle. We're done.
And we're back.
Oh, okay, well, there's a couple
if she can hear you chew, you're dead.
Chewing for sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess the only other thing that gets me is if I'm on a tight schedule where I have to get a lot of things done and, like say people are coming over or we have to go somewhere and I'm rushing around trying to get everything done, it stresses me out so bad. Like, I'm like, everyone just knows to leave me alone and let me do what I need to do, because if not, I'm just like raging.
Okay. All right. So this one, this is the one where Matt Booth called me a fucking asshole. But is cereal a soup?
Oh, I don't even like cereal. I think it's wrong for so many reasons. And I'll say this, here in Nicaragua, it's a dessert. So you can go get cereal like you do ice cream because of the high sugar content. They look at it like a dessert.
Wow.
So I won't get into that one, but I am very against cereal and kids because it's of the sugar content. But I will say I do love a bowl of cereal, and it can be soupy cereal if it's I haven't had cereal in years. It was the one with the nut clusters.
Honey bunches of oats?
Yes. That can be a soup. I'm fine with that because it's very good. It makes it like honey water or honey milk, I should say.
Hell yeah. I'll take it. Accept it.
All right, so question number 6. If you could switch lives with any fictional character, who would it be?
Oh, a fictional character. You know, I've never been one that sticks to anything fictional. And there's a funny story to that. When I was a kid, I wouldn't even watch cartoons because I told myself that they were fake and that I wasn't allowed to watch them because they were fake. So I don't think I could answer that because I've always I always fill my brain with facts and reality and truth and learning about myself and learning about myself as a woman and my future and all of that. So I don't know. Sorry.
That works.
This is also slightly fictional, but what superpower would you want and why?
Teleporting, I think. There's a lot of people I would love to see all the time, and I can't. And I believe in face-to-face stuff, so teleporting would be awesome.
That works. All right, question number 8. What special skill or talent do you have that most people don't know about?
Man, there's so many things that I do. I mean, I don't know that I can crochet. I can do anything I put my mind to, honestly. So I kind of shock people in a lot of ways because they don't realize I know whatever it is about whatever subject. Sorry, my dogs someone must be here. But I don't know that it's a talent, but I mean, I go on the water to help a researcher with whales. I mean, so that's a huge thing that I do right now.
Wow, that sounds like a whole other segment. That's amazing.
It's tiring, but yeah, I work with the whale biologist.
Wow. Okay. All right. So my last question of the night, this is also a newly added one. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Historical. God, that's a hard question because there's people alive that I would love to have dinner with. Like one of the people is Kat Von D. She's very similar to me in the way that she thinks and what she does. I've been told I look like her multiple times. Her entrepreneur brain is a lot like mine. And I guess, I mean, she's been doing what she's done since she was a kid. And so I guess it could be historical in that way. Yeah. But I mean, I struggle. I've always been this way. I really struggle with really like idolizing other people because I'm so independent and I just want to succeed for myself that I tend not to look at what other people do and what they've done. Maybe that's a fault of mine, but I just focus on myself so much. I just have a mission to help others. So
this is why we do this and like why we have like the Women's Month thing, because we respect that so much. Like that is awesome. Like that tells so much about who you are as a person, and that's why we love this. So like keep being strong, keep doing your thing. Absolutely.
I mean, if I tried to be like anybody else, I think I'd let myself down. That would be doing a disservice to myself. And I take pride in being unique. And I hope that others can join me in their uniqueness and love themselves for who they are and what they love and what they look like and what they're passionate about. I think that's the most important thing. And that's what's going to continue to make the world spin, so we don't lose ourselves and lose what we have. We got to be true to ourselves. So yeah, unfortunately I don't have a historical figure, but I have me.
Absolutely. I'll take it.
Well,
oh yeah.
I like your answer just because someone who grew up watching Miami Ink and Ink Masters and all that, watching her go through and starting with Miami Ink and moving on to the different shows that she's been with, the art that she can create and not only visualize it on paper and then be able to transfer that onto skin and be able to do the lines and the shading that she does. She's one of the best and most talented, ink artists that there is.
Yep. And she's allowed herself to change and not feel guilty about it and not care what people think either, because we're all evolving. I mean, at 42, I know that I haven't learned everything and I have a whole life ahead of me. So
every day,
like we need to respect others for their changes and all of that. I mean, we're not a one size fits all. We're not. So, I mean, if
No.
you're not a religious person and then become religious, more power to you. Do that. You know, if you're religious and decide that religion is not for you, do that. You know, do whatever makes your soul happy.
Beautiful.
So the last question for the hot box questions is my favorite, and I love asking this one. And so we'll be quiet and give you the floor on this one. What is the best piece of advice you have ever been given?
That was actually from my best friend. And she said to me just like maybe 2 years ago, she said, and it's the simplest quote, but it really got me. And she said, move it or lose it. And what she meant was always move your body, because what you don't move, you lose. And that is so important because, you know, for those of you that don't know, about a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed with a rare liver condition that I will have forever. It's not treatable. I can manage it, but there's a chance I may need a liver transplant in the future. And basically my body looks at my liver and particularly my bile ducts as foreign and constantly attacks and destroys my bile ducts. So I'm down to 50% or less of my bile ducts, which was a long process to figure out what I have. But yeah, it made me pretty much immobile for a good year. I was like just bedridden completely and so depressed. And she made that statement and it completely altered my thought process, because even though I was laying in bed and depressed, I'm like, I gotta move my body. And I found ways to do that, you know, and now that I am able to get up and move around, I'm doing it 1,000%. I work out daily. I do everything I can to keep my body healthy because, you know, I'm already getting arthritis in my wrist, you know, and I'm like, this, just because we don't feel something right now does not mean it's already starting to happen in our bodies. So we need to be conscious of that and keep our bodies healthy and move in the positive direction no matter what you do. And so my whole thing is movement. I got to move. And in any way possible, I just need to keep moving. Like that simple statement changed my life because it is so true. And I got a treadmill because of that, because you know, I could be scrolling on TikTok or I could be scrolling on TikTok, walking on a treadmill. Like that changed my life, you know, and in the time that I scroll on TikTok, I'm getting like a mile or two in on that treadmill and my legs are thanking me. You know, I'm not breathing heavily anymore. And, you know, my heart isn't racing. So, I mean, it's so important what we put in our bodies and what we do with our bodies.
I know someone who has been, you know, when you started first going through that journey, you had a kind of a private Facebook group, and there was a bunch of us that have been following you through this whole journey. So it's very nice to see where you were and now see where you're at, because it's been a big change.
It's crazy. I mean, just the fact that I can go back on the boat, you know, to research the whales, like, yes, it hurts. My body isn't fully ready for a full day, but I felt like I got a piece of me back because I wasn't able to do that for almost 2 years. You know, it was because I was on tour with Dissident that I can't remember where I was at, somewhere south. I realized something was not right with me and I could not figure it out. And at first they were, for some reason, they deviated off of this and told me that I had breast cancer. And I had to come to the reality of I had cancer and all this different stuff, had the tumors removed, told I didn't have cancer. And then it, you know, they did a biopsy on my liver and said, oh, it's actually this. And that just opened a whole can of worms into my life and my health. And, you know, it took me down the process of researching stem cells and going to Colombia and getting those. And thankfully, because of you guys and raising the money that you did, I was able to get stem cell therapy for my liver. And I truly believe that is why I'm on my feet right now, because it happened like that. Like I was bedridden up until about 2-3 months ago. And all of a sudden I quit having my flare-ups and I haven't had them since then. So I truly believe that those stem cells worked their way to my liver and started maybe not repairing, but slowed down what I had. And my liver numbers have been coming back great. The only thing that continues to elevate is my bilirubins, what makes you turn yellow and have jaundice. That'll continue to raise, but I'll take it. My other numbers are not raising anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, I caught the tail end of your whole journey with that when I kind of dove deep into the cigar world and with Charles and with the TriStar group, and I kind of caught the tail end of it. But it's amazing how far you've come in a short time. So I'm glad things are turning around for you, and we could not be happier. It's actually you're feeling better, and
thank you.
More power to you on that journey for sure.
I appreciate that. Truly, I'm excited.
Well, Cynn, we're going to give the floor to you. We want to appreciate you for jumping on here and agreeing to be one of the guests for this month. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on here.
Yeah.
Let everybody know where they can find you online, your Instagram handles, your website. Where's the best place to buy your cigars? If you were going to have somebody go to a certain online shop, where would you have them go? And I do know that our sponsor for the show, the Cigar Vault, I have a hard time saying that name, in Oakdale, does carry your cigars. But if you have other recommendations, please let everybody in the world know how they can reach Dissident.
Yeah, I love it when retailers sell online because obviously, like I mentioned earlier, we came from the motivational speaking world and also the firearm industry. So a lot of people from that side learned about Dissident. So our followers aren't necessarily people who are heavily tied into cigars and don't know how to get cigars, or they're not in that area. So I love the online retailers. So you have Toro Cigar Company, who have veterans, and then you have like Oak Glen Tobacconist in California, B&B Cigars. Gosh, there's so many of them. I'm trying to think. There's another one down south. I can't think of their name right now, but yes, there's a lot of online retailers. You can go to Aveja Negra, their website, and you can do the little search bar and it'll tell you where Dissident Cigars are. You can contact me personally on Instagram. It's just Cynn Coburn is how you find me on Instagram. And I can also help you locate the cigars and give you some online recommendations if there's nothing in your area. I'm also on Facebook, but I would say my main thing is really it's Instagram. I mean, that's where I hang out the most, and TikTok, but that's mostly just my viewing. But Facebook too. I don't know. I don't post much on Facebook. I feel like it's losing its luster. I don't know. But Instagram, yeah, I'm definitely there at Cynn Coburn.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to finish up. I just lit up the tirade. I love that.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to partner that one with some Jack Daniel's Bonded.
Nice.
So that's going to be my ending for the night, but I'll let Mick close this out here in just a second. But I just want to thank you once again for jumping on here. It's always fun to get to talk to you. And I hate that it's been so long since we've actually had you on, and it, through TriStar, but glad to get you on.
And I think you were the one
adventure.
that told me about the Bonded. I believe it was you that told me that it was coming out in select areas. That's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. You told me something that one of your whiskey loves was Jack Daniel's, and when we had you on, I was drinking the Bonded and told you about that one. Yeah. Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah, no, I don't have a whole lot more to say. I've been a fanboy for a while, and it's great to actually talk to you, and you're just so fucking down to earth and just an awesome person, and your heart shines through in everything that you do. And I will say also, this is not a plug by any means for myself, but I did a painting for Charles. I asked him for his favorite. Cigar picture he's ever taken, because I just got back into painting because I have more time on my hands now that I moved. And his favorite cigar picture was the Molotov cocktail with the Jack Daniel's bottle, and I actually painted that for him. And that was before we even started this journey on the podcast. So props to him for saying that's his favorite cigar picture, and it's kind of a shout out to you as well, because it says something about your brand and about what we're all building. So I greatly appreciate everything.
How amazing. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much. We'll let you go ahead, and we know you got some guests that you want to go hang out with before the night ends, but thanks for jumping on here, and hopefully we can get you to do this again, and hopefully when your collaboration whiskey comes out, we can all sit and try some and talk about it and have some fun with it.
That's a definite.
Awesome. Thank you,
Well,
Cynn.
thank you so much, and have a great night.
Have a great night. We'll talk soon.
All right.
See ya. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Man.
And just like that, interview number 22.
Yeah, that was a great night, man. She is such a sweetheart, man. It's just fucking awesome, man. We get to learn all that behind the scenes stuff. It was awesome. What a great night.
Well, I will say this. I'm very interested to see what you thought about the cigar. Let's see. We got Mick got talent. That's why you should smoke more Lanceros. Yes.
Big hands, man. Big hands.
It just means you need small cigars.
I do. Apparently, Brian and John will argue with me every day. So yeah, here we are.
I know a lot of you posted in the comments on there to hit the like, the subscribe, hit all that wonderful stuff. Guys, load it up with it real quick. I mean, Cynn was a fantastic person to have on here. Please hit the like, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff that you're supposed to do on all these platforms. We would greatly appreciate it. We have a couple of things left to do. We do have the cigar review. We have the prizes to give away here in just a few after that. Some cigar news from Cigar Public, and meanwhile in Memphis. So we will get to all that real quick, and we'll let everybody else enjoy the rest of the evening. But first, Mick's going to lead us off with what he thought about the Plasmatic.
Here we go with my beautiful scorebook. All right. So, the Plasmatic. So, aroma from the body. I got a little bit of breadiness, mixed nuts, maybe a little caramel. From the foot, I got creaminess, bread, some natural tobacco sweetness. Notes from the cold draw. I got crackers. And, Charles, this is for your wife. I got oyster crackers. It's kind of that oyster cracker flavor off the cold draw. Bread and a little bit of creaminess. First, third notes. I got creaminess.
I'm just having a hard time figuring out how you got oyster crackers. I didn't realize that you knew what they were.
Right. Inside joke. We'll leave that alone. Make sure your wife sees this part of the show.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, first, third notes. I got creamy. It was creamy the whole way through. It was fucking phenomenal with the creaminess of the smoke. There was a touch of floral in there. Yeah, touch of floral. Nuttiness. I got, honestly, like on the nuttiness side, I got like peanut butter brittle. Crackers, a little bit of bread that had that graininess to it. Retro was black pepper and creamy smoke. The second, third, black pepper increased a little bit. Light floral again, creaminess. A little bit of almond. Kind of transferred from peanut to almond, but it was still that nuttiness. Stereo and grains. There was a subtle sweetness the whole way through. I got black pepper and creamy on the retro again. And on the final third, I fucking drag racing, man. Jesus. I got final third notes of creaminess. Again, that creaminess the whole way through. It was awesome. It intensified. There was some woodiness, pepper, toast. Retro is black pepper and creamy. So the final scores, I got a pre-light experience, an 18 out of 20. Flavor enjoyment, I got a 14 out of 15. Construction characteristics, 27 out of 30. Smoke production and final thoughts, 31 out of 35. And final score, I got a 90. It was a good ride. I was a little concerned at first because it was a little mild for what I usually like. It continued to increase as the time went on, but the flavors didn't get bitter. They got more flavorful, if that makes sense. It was a good ride. I enjoyed it. 90.
I will say that's probably a pretty good score. A couple of comments while you're reading that. Keeper Wet Outdoors LLC says moister than an oyster. 100%.
Oh yeah.
Little Baby Devi says creamy and nutty. He's all in for it.
Creamy.
Devin happens to put his own little emojis with it because, if it's Devi, he likes creamy and nutty. And I hope we're still talking about cigars. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go into mine really quickly. Aroma off the body. I just got sweet tobacco. Aroma off the foot. Tobacco with a slight fruit. Taste on the cold draw. Dark fruit, bready, fig, slight tight draw. On the light, toast, charred oak, black pepper, retro, earth, oak, black pepper, slight sweet note at the end. Into the first note, up front is a rye bread mixed with earth, black pepper, and a slight zesty note. The retro brings black pepper and a mineral up front, followed by a sweet, creamy, and peanut shell. There's your peanut.
There it is.
Finishes with medium to long, leaving a salty mineral sweet note on the lips. And the tongue draw is fantastic. Burn is sharp. Ash is dark. Stacking dimes. Smoke is thick and creamy. And strength is a medium plus. Into the second, notes up front are earth almond. There's your almond. Slight mineral and a little more sweet. The cedar note does pick up. Now that I'm thinking, when she said floral, I'm probably going floral and cedar at the same time. So I'm getting that. I tend to get those a little overlapped, but the cedar does pick up. The retro is soft, black pepper, bready, cedar, followed by a sweet, creamy note. Draw is great. Ash is thick and fell for the first time midway through the second third. Smoke is thick and wonderful. Finish is long and leaves a salty, sweet note on the lip. Strength still medium plus. In the final third, bold black coffee, salty cracker. See, I got the cracker there, but mine was more like saltine cracker. Black pepper with a sweet note that pops up every now and then. The retro is back with a heavy black pepper, slight charred wood, and a sweet note that shows up every now and then, but more on the retro. Burn gets a little off, but nothing to worry about. Ash is good and held to the finish. Only ash that thing, the ash only fell twice, halfway through and then at the very end. I mean, and it was fantastic.
That was 3 times.
Yeah. Smoke is great. Leaves you with a pleasant finish, making you go back for more. Strength is still medium plus, ended medium plus. So the appearance gave it 10 out of 10. Like I said, I'm a sucker for a barber pole. And if you add a barber pole with a sexy band, I just want to mount the thing and look at it. And I'm not talking about in the way that John's thinking. The aroma and cold draw is a 9 out of 10. Flavor enjoyment, gave it 13 out of 15. Construction and characteristics. Construction, 9 out of 10. Draw, 9 out of 10. Burn, 9 out of 10. Smoke production and texture, 5 out of 5. Overall experience, 19 out of 20. Would I smoke it again? Hell yeah, I would. Buy a box? Of course I would. 23 out of 35. Gives me a total of a 92. You gave it a 90. I gave it a 92. That makes easy math. Real Smoke scores the plasmatic from Dissident a 91.
Hell yeah.
No, awesome
Good
job.
score.
91. We're going to have a hard time picking cigars of the year this year. It's all going to be 91s, 2s, and 3s. And then we got a couple that's above that.
Yeah, we've had bangers, man, and it's ruined my palate for everything else, because like I really feel like we have been so blessed with great cigars, man. Like the guests, the guests play a small part in it, but like the actual cigars are so fucking outstanding this year, man. We're just killing it this season.
One thing I will say is my computer is acting up quite a bit, so we are going to go ahead and try to get the drawing away. And again, tonight we are giving away 2 gift certificates for the Cigar Vault. You have to be here to win. You have to live in the U.S. to win. And if your name is on here, you need to send us a post in the comments on here that you're on here, and we're going to need to get your name, address, phone number, and email. Make sure you go ahead and type in hashtag RealSmoke. That way we can get you guys entered in. So while that happens, I'm going to try to get this set up, but my computer is acting all kinds of crazy. So we'll hope it works. Yeah, it's been there. There was a whole 5 minutes through the interview that she was talking that my screen just completely shut out.
Wow.
I had no clue what was going on. So
We may have to do a next person that comments wins the gift card thing.
we may have to. All right, so hashtag Real Smoke is in there. We're collecting the comments right now. So for the first drawing, we are going to go ahead and let that one rip. Let's see what happens. Little Debbie says he wants to win.
I think
But
Debbie's
will
got
he win?
I think he's holy shit.
Holy shit.
Devin wins for the first time ever in Real Smoke podcast.
Devin,
history.
if you're not on here, you better know that you got about 30 seconds.
Devin, comment creamy and nutty for me. Come on. Here we go.
And Devin says first time, and he didn't win because he did not comment creamy and nutty. So just because he did not, wait, never mind. There he goes. He has it. So Devin, do me a favor. Send me a message to my account with your mailing name, address, phone number, and email. Again, I need all 4 of those: mailing name, address, phone number, and email. So we're going to hit up number 2 really quickly. Make sure you type in your hashtag Real Smoke in there. That way we can get that on there. And we're about to draw for the second one. Here we go. Round and round, as they say,
big names in there.
The cigar dudes. Mitch.
Is that
really?
2 weeks in a row?
Mitch, again. Mitch, if you're
we had like
on here,
20 names in there this week, and Mitch wins again.
To say something. Let me check. It could be. I will go back. Mitch won Beard Apothecary, so Mitch will be getting something from Beard Apothecary.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mitch says, "Here, here, 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 dear
Uncle Mitch. Congratulations.
Uncle Mitch, I need you to send me all that good stuff. Mailing name, address, phone number, and email. That all has to go into their system so they can go ahead and get you guys entered to win. Now, anybody who won Hatpalooza last week and who will win it this week, which I've already got the name picked, I just forgot to post it. Life has been crazy. Sorry about that. And whoever won Beard Apothecary last week, your stuff goes out this weekend because, again, we mail every 2 weeks. That way we can get it. Just helps us out. Just bear with us. Love us. But it'll be mailed out this weekend. So huge thanks to Beard Apothecary for their stuff. We got more stuff from them next week. I'm trying to talk and do all this shit at the same time. You're
doing great, brother.
But Devin, congratulations. And Mitch, Unky Mitch. So we had Little Devi Poo and Unky Mitch both win stuff from Cigar Vault. I will say this: the only reason that we did not put them on the logo when we did the cigar intro, anytime that you can buy the cigar that we're smoking from Cigar Vault, we'll put them on the image. You can get every other Dissident cigar. They just don't have any of the plasmatic in stock right now. So go check them out. Spend that money. Send them a message. All you guys who have won from the Cigar Vault from this show, send them a message and tell them thanks. Let's see. Let's do this. Josephus. This guy's been with us since day 1. Go watch the Silent Cigar Review Show, episode number 3. It's out now. Guys, if you want to go watch something afterwards, after tonight, or you want to watch something tomorrow, go check out that. Go check out the Silent Cigar Review Show, episode 3. It's out now. Josephus has been one of our people who supported us from day 1, so it is so great to see that he's doing something, and happy we can support him.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. Now, congrats to our winners tonight. Cigar Vault has a ridiculous. My wish list is so fucking long right now. The wife's gonna kill me when I finally press send. But they're amazing. Congrats to our winners. You're gonna lose some time on that website.
One of the best. I know there's a couple on there or online, but it's one of the best boutique cigar lounges or places that you can go get cigars. So if you are into the boutique cigar brand or the craft cigar brand, go check them out. So
absolutely.
So congratulations once again to Little Debbie and Uncle Mitch. Thank you for watching. We do have a couple other things before we end the night. We do have some cigar news. I've got one story tonight. I was debating on another one. Just don't know the ins and outs of it yet, so I want to wait. I'll just allude to this. There seems to be some legal issues with Cigar Aficionado. I don't quite know what's going on. I know there's a lot being publicized about it, and a lot of different publications have picked it up. But before I start talking much about it, I want to learn more, just because I don't want us to go down that rabbit hole. But before that, Cigar News is brought to you by Cigar Public. If you want to check out cigar reviews, whiskey articles, cigar news, and things of that sort, go check them out online at cigarpublic.com or on Instagram at cigarpublic. The story I'm going to read tonight is J.C. Newman honoring Tampa's baseball and cigar legacy. And I brought this one up because we had a conversation just a couple of days ago that we are both so ready for baseball to get back in.
Yes.
And I know preseason games are going. I'm watching some of them. It's cool to see who could possibly make the roster, but
yeah,
I can't wait for regular season baseball to start.
100%.
This, when it comes to football, me and Mick are 100%, we're Falcons fans. We're together on it, but we are so far apart when it comes to baseball. We are our team's rivals. He's a Phillies fan. I'm a Braves fan, and we thrive on that rivalry right there. So it's pretty awesome.
Do we have fun with it? It's awesome.
Oh yeah. So J.C. Newman Cigar Company was recently featured on Fox 13 News, highlighting their new Tampa Smoke cigar and its deep connection to Tampa's rich history of baseball and cigars. The J.C. Newman Cigar Company is rolling a cigar called the Tampa Smokers to pay homage to the city's first pro baseball team. The team played from 1919 into the 1950s at Planks Park, where the University of Tampa plays baseball today. The century-old company's limited release of the commemorative cigar marks the beginning of the baseball season. Tampa has produced more than 90 major leaguers over the years, and some of them trace their roots back to a team called the Tampa Smokers. Can you tell me that you would not like to have a hat or a jersey that says Tampa Smokers?
Where do we find that? Yeah,
I want it. Workers at the J.C. Newman Cigar Company hand-rolled cigars in the traditional Toro shape. The century-old company is the last traditional cigar factory operating in the United States. But Hector also rolls Tampa's baseball bat shape. No one's ever done that before, says Drew Newman, whose grandfather founded the company. They are rolling the cigar called the Tampa Smokers, paying homage to the Tampa Smokers, the city's first pro baseball team. There is a whole history of the Tampa Smokers and a video on it as well on Cigar Public. Go check them out at cigarpublic.com. I do say, it says that it is a limited batch, limited run. Cigars are going to be 20 a piece. But I will say I will pay 20 for the chance to smoke that one, just because I think it's a pretty cool novelty. So
it's really cool.
Let's see. John says, go Red Sox.
Yeah, 20 years ago we could talk.
Yeah. Any other baseball fans in here? Post your teams on here. Let's see who you root for. But yeah, I really want to actually start looking to see if I can find a Tampa Smokers hat or a Tampa Smokers jersey. I will rock
That'd be
that
really
thing.
cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you to Cigar Republic for posting that one out there. That was actually something that I was excited to read, because just knowing that they have a long history with baseball and that their team was, called the Smokers. That's pretty cool. Hey, there you go. There you go, Unky Mitch.
Uncle Mitch, your prize has been revoked. That's it.
I think we need to find a way to have his prize doubled for that one.
Oh, man. Crazy. Now, I will also, before I get into Meanwhile Memphis, I will say, Cigar Public, thank you for posting our stuff as well. Like, we appreciate it. We appreciate you posting about the podcast and the great guests we've had on. It's a shared love for what we're trying to do here. So we appreciate all you guys and the great articles you write.
100%. Got to piggyback off that one. I know that I'm involved with Cigar Public, not as much as I used to. I used to write for him. I don't write for him anymore. I'm still on the review team, but I love what Cigar Public's trying to do, and I love I love the path that they're trying to carve. They're trying to be more along the lines of the boutique, but still get the news out there. So
I keep pushing.
I appreciate what you guys are doing, and thank you for being willing to work with us. And we're trying to help you guys out as well. So, Larry says baseball shop has shirts.
Okay,
I'm there later. Take my
I'm
money.
checking it out. Absolutely.
All right, so the last segment of the night is the one that was the most requested shirt in our catalog. And it was the people that gave Mick the most shit. It was. Mick, I'm coming up with the logos, but Mick is designing the T-shirts, and he's over there creating all the T-shirts, but he doesn't come up with a Meanwhile in Memphis.
My T-shirt. Yeah.
It's yours. I mean, I don't live in Memphis. I live on the other side of the 40.
I got too distracted by creating T-shirts, man. That's beautiful, brother. That's beautiful.
I live on the other side of the 40. Mick's from the west side. I'm from the east side. East side of 40. All right. Meanwhile in Memphis, who is it brought to us by? Nobody this week, so we're going to say it's brought to you by TriStar Herf Crew. If you want any information on an online and social cigar club, go check us out online at tristarherfcrew.com or on Instagram at TriStar Herf Crew. Cool. We gave somebody that. Meanwhile,
all three are very short tonight. That's what she said. But they are all probably some of the best headlines I have read since we started Meanwhile Memphis. The first story: 5 men accused of blocking traffic while twerking. Memphis, Tennessee. 5 people were arrested Monday night after police say they blocked a downtown intersection with their dancing. Police say a 2016 Chevy Malibu stopped at a green light in South 2nd Street and Union Avenue and spotted 4 men twerking around a car and 1 man dancing on the hood.
Was Devin the one dancing on the hood?
I can't give names out in this, man. You know how this goes. I can't do it.
I knew it was Devin.
Devin Krajewski. Oh, sorry. My bad. I didn't mean to read that. They were all charged with obstructing a highway or a passageway. Yeah, they weren't, Devin. Anyway, according...
Well, he says he can neither confirm or deny it.
I love it. He's still listening. According to the affidavit of complaint, the suspects were transported to jail. That the offense would not happen again. Police say one of the men also had a warrant for vandalism. 4 of the men were released on their own recognizance, and 1 was arrested and held on bail because of the vandalism charge. But yes, 5 men were arrested for twerking on a street in Memphis. All right, this one isn't quite as good. I'm saving the best for last. A woman catches a man driving her own stolen car. That's the headline.
Dang. You go, girl.
A man is now in custody and facing auto theft charges after a woman allegedly caught him driving her stolen car. This man was arrested on Tuesday night and charged with theft of property from $10,000 to $60,000.
Dang it, Bobby.
On March 9th, a woman reported that to police that she had woke up and her 2013 Hyundai Elantra was being stolen from her driveway. 2 days later, while driving her other car, the woman saw the Hyundai Elantra at a Valero gas station on North Hollywood Street. The woman pulled in and confronted the man and found that he had stolen the car.
Dude, spit on that thing.
So the guy says, I'm just going to paraphrase this. The guy tells her that he had found the car running in an alley with the steering wheel popped that had been stolen. So he decided to take it to the liquor store because he was out of booze. And then it ran out of gas, so he stopped to get gas. And that's when she saw him. The man was arrested.
Was this one Devin?
I don't think it's Devin. No, I don't.
Okay.
It kind of looks like him, but I don't think it's him. He had drove to the liquor store, stopped to get gas, and then was caught. So you can't make this shit up. You really can't.
Dang it, Bobby.
Speaking of Devin, the final story of the night. This one was sent to me by Devin earlier in the week, which I looked up. And Charles, you said you saw it as well. Thank you, Devin. Can you guys see this shit? Okay, there's people going to be listening. Man shot by his dog in Fraser, police say. Memphis, Tennessee. And there's some really bad stuff in here. Like not bad stuff, but like really bad journalism. So I'm just going to read what they said.
This made local news in Knoxville.
Yeah. Man shot by his dog in Fraser. Memphis, Tennessee. Oreo. That's the name of the dog. Blamed for shooting his owner early Monday morning in Fraser. While the pup may not be facing any charges, he is certainly in the doghouse.
Boo.
Okay. This is really bad. But anyway, the owner wouldn't talk on camera, but he and his girlfriend, who did talk to Fox 13 on the condition they would not be identified, said that they were freaking out. By now, something that they can laugh about. It was a rough day in downtown Memphis.
Really? Somebody needs to give the rider a high five.
It's not great.
He's so funny.
It was a rough day for the owner after his pit bull Oreo shot him. Police say the man was lying in his bed with his girlfriend around 4 a.m. The pair were asleep with the gun laying beside him on the bed. When
she's a rough
jumped,
sleeper when he sleeps with a gun.
Yeah, right beside him. Yeah, it's in Fraser, so I'd probably sleep with a fucking gun too. When Oreo jumped onto the bed and joined them, the dog's paw caught the trigger, and the gun went off, firing a bullet that grazed his thigh. There's one more pun in here.
Emotional damage.
The dog jumped onto the bed. That did not wake us up, but the gunshot did.
Oh, wow.
The gunshot woke us up. A combination of the two, the girlfriend said. The couple told Fox 13 that they will be positive to leave the safety on their guns from here on out.
Somebody needs to punch this rider in the face.
Yeah, I had to read it exactly like he put it. Oreo, don't play.
That's crazy rough, dog. That's what Devin says.
So
That
I'm positively done with that story. But what
I
a
will say
fucking great
this.
story.
I will give. I mean, I'm wearing a freaking squirrel on my head, so I can't say much. But I will say, I will give props to the writer to try to make this funny. But damn, that was bad. That was horrible.
All you need to say is a man got shot by his own pit bull in Fraser. And that's enough said for this area. Like everybody's like, no shit, man. Look at that fucking pit bull. I like that, but for all the puns he put in there, it's not great. It's not great. But I had to read it like he portrayed it, man. It was something.
That's absolutely insane. That's so dumb that I even have a headache. I mean, I'm over here doing, I'm looking through like the stuff, and it's like there's even I have
Emotional damage.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Memphis, brother.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Memphis.
Meanwhile, I mean, that almost tops the alligator. I want to be Gator Man.
It does. It does.
And I just have to say, that's where you live.
Yes. Meanwhile, Memphis.
Meanwhile, Memphis. Well, we still have a couple of people still on here. We actually have still quite half the people that was on here. Guys, if you haven't hit like so many damn times, that helps us out. We need to help start getting these videos pushed through the algorithm. That is the one thing that it shows us on the algorithm that's not happening, is that people's not liking. So please like, please subscribe, please do all that shit, the tickety talk, the bell, all that stuff. I don't know what it is. I probably should, but want to thank, I know she's not on here anymore, but we got to thank Cynn for jumping on here. Another fantastic, awesome ass show. I mean, she does what she always does. She comes on and commands the spotlight. So next week we branch away from cigars. For the next 2 weeks, we're going to enter the lovely brown liquid juice of goodness and go into the world of whiskey. So next week we have Alex Castle with she is the master distiller for Augusta Distillery. She is the former master distiller for Old Dominic in Memphis.
Memphis does. Oh yeah.
I know, like Mick was saying, he's a fanboy when Cynn was on. I have been a fanboy of Alex since I first tried and found out about the company and was writing stories about her and the company. I followed her when she was with them, wrote about her when she was with them, and then followed and wrote about her transition from leaving Old Dominic into moving into Augusta. So super happy that she's moved home. We have her on, and then we have Devin Walden of Big Machine Distillery. So we're bringing it back to Tennessee for the final episode, and she is going to take us through. Her distillery not only makes whiskey, but they do all different types of spirits. So we're gonna end the last 2 weeks in the spirits world, the whiskey world, with Alex Castle and Devin Walden. So I'm super excited about all those. So if you would like to learn more about them, make sure you join us next week for the one with Alex Castle. You won't regret it. Absolutely. I promise.
Yeah. Amazing guests again. Like we could not be more blessed with who we're having on this show. And yes, I'm also looking very forward to having Alex Castle on. I literally think I passed her while she was moving back to Kentucky and I was moving to Memphis. Like we probably passed on 40. So it's really cool. I'm a big supporter of Old Dominic down here and what she built. And we're super excited to have her on next week.
Next week, we're also smoking the Amazon Basin. So that will be the cigar that we smoke and review. That has been a cigar that I have always tried to get my hands on, but never been able to. I don't know, Mick. Okay, the same with you.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to know one of the owners of the cigar lounges that it just opened up last year, and he keeps me pretty much informed on what's coming out. He knows what I enjoy. Just like when you guys saw that the new Room 101 that came out, literally was a message from him saying, "Hey, come get this one." So if you're in the East Tennessee area, out here towards Knoxville or whatever, Cigar Shop of Morristown, they got one box in. Go check them out. But as soon as he got the Amazon Basin, he got one box, and he was like, "We're doing one per customer." And I sent him a message back. I said, "That's awesome." I said, "I hate that. I need 4. He said, "What do you need 4 for?" I said, "I have to have at least 4, if not 6, for the podcast." He's like, "Why?" I said, "Because we got to do reviews for them, and we can't smoke one."
Yeah.
And he said, "But we're doing just one per customer." I said, "I need 4. He said, "Be here tomorrow."
Yeah.
Cigar Shop in
greatly-
Morristown, big shout out. Thank you so much.
I greatly appreciate you for that, brother, because I've been trying to get my hands on that for probably 2 to 3 years now, like since they first came out. And I appreciate you greatly. Thank you. Yeah, I'm so excited for that one. It's one of those that you just can't seem to find.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what to expect. I know a lot of people love it, and I know a lot of people rave about it. So the fact that we're able to get our hands on a couple of them, and we got them at MSRP. So I know a lot of places were selling that shit for, $20 a cigar. So, but we got it for MSRP. So that was pretty awesome of them. Last little bit. Let's see. Greg says done and done. Yes. Done and done. Another great one in the books. I'm sad I didn't win. Hey, why? How many times have you won? You have won a lot. I'm jealous of how much you have won. Get you ends up says has for you in a humidor, but not the new one. Okay, cool. Well, grab one of the old ones and smoke it with us. And let us know what you think about it. So I was looking for one more shout out to give. I thought I had it on my Instagram, but I'm probably overlooking it. Yeah, I probably am. I wanted to give a shout out to another company that I got to meet up with in Knoxville. I'll try to do that next week. But huge thanks to everybody who jumped on here tonight. We had a huge crew. We had a large crowd. We had a fantastic guest. Cynn could not be more hospitable for the time that she gave us. I knew that we were creeping into the time that she was wanting to get to spend with some friends, but she was able to give us that little bit of time. Congratulations to the cigar. The Plasmatic gets a 91 from the cigar or the Real Smoke podcast. So great cigar. You want to close us out?
Yeah, I will say amazing guest. Another great time, man. Another great show. I will also say stand by for some pretty drunk and crazy pictures from this weekend because I'm heading to Nashville in the morning at like 6 a.m. So who knows what I'm going to post this weekend on my personal page or the pod page. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Friends I haven't seen for over a year, so it's going to get crazy. And take time this week to smoke a cigar with someone you love.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And thanks to you, brother, for jumping on here with us. Guys, go check out our link tree. We have merch. Go support us. Help us get the cigars that we need to do the things that we love and bring to people that we hope that you enjoy listening to. So I couldn't say it any better myself. You guys have a great evening. We will see you guys next week with Alex Castle with Augusta Distillery.
All right.
Mick and Charles with the firelight glow, cigars in hand, watch the embers slow. Talking life and whiskey, it's a show. Real smoke rides the breeze just so. puff of wisdom with a sip of fun, guiding through the shadows till the day is done. Inhale the stories, let the laughter run. Real smoke's how all the good times are spun. With a draw and a swirl, watch the worries fade. Mick and Charles got the cool parade. Cigars and tales and whiskey serenade. Real smoke where your troubles are mislaid.